They want to celebrate their birthdays.
I know.
Who takes their birthdays
What is
off?
that?
I know.
What is that?
It's so
not
weak.
21
It's
anymore.
So
Did they both have? There wasn't other things, right?
Well,
because
no.
I don't want to rip him like Joey Bart.
No,
Where
rip
is
him.
Joey Bart?
Rip him.
Actually
No,
hurt his ankle.
It's just their birthdays, and I don't want to sound like I'm painting with a broad gender brush. But you're dudes. Your birthday doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
I get how it goes for ladies. You got to go to all 8 sets of your friends and have brunch and have the birthday last a month and a half. I get it. But we're dudes.
So
Your
right.
birthday doesn't matter.
Thank you.
What are you, 30-something, 50-something?
It doesn't matter.
Nobody cares, and you shouldn't either.
Thank you.
Get a dinner
Thank you.
and get your butt back to work. What are you doing?
Unbelievable.
Seriously. Anyway, hey,
guys.
Vontae.
What's up, Mark?
What are you doing?
Man, I'm
Man,
back.
we
I didn't want to
missed
come
you.
back.
We missed
I didn't
you,
want to
man.
come back.
Man, yeah, you look.
But you know, the pool.
You look 8 years younger, speaking of birthdays.
Dude, the heat was getting to me, though. No lie about that. Waking up at 7 a.m, reading all the training camp reports. And then what was weird, like you look at your phone, you see the schedule for baseball games, right? Giants play at 3:05 a.m. So I would wake up sometimes,
Would you really?
8 o'clock, and it'd be like the 8th inning of a game, and I'm like, you know what? Babe, sleep. Let me go see what's going on with the Giants.
Really?
Let me see them go 9-9 during my vacation.
Can you follow American sports in Europe? I mean,
It's tough. It's tough, but it's there for you. It's there. It's right there.
Like, how do you watch? If it's on at 3
I
in
don't
the
even
morning,
watch.
you're
I was
just
just doing like
following,
the game
just
pass,
following the game
pitch
time
by
thing.
pitch
Yeah,
graphic.
yeah.
Like, hurry up and refresh. Hurry up and refresh. Oh, yeah.
Gosh, that
Run
does
it out.
not
The
sound
bases loaded.
does not sound like a vacation.
I mean-
3 in the morning to be watching the game cast.
Well, no, it's
online.
8 in the morning or like 9 in the morning, and it'd be like the 8th inning
Yeah.
because, you know, it's a 9-hour difference. So that was interesting to see the Giants lose all 8 games to the Dodgers coming out of the break.
Gosh, was that on your vacation?
That was
You've been
during my
gone for a
vacation. I
long
was gone
time.
for a
That
long
feels
time.
like a
the
long time
Padres
ago.
series where Manny Machado hits on.
Oh,
And I just remember our producer Sam Lubman is like, Trevor Rogers is, the defense has let him down all year long. And I'm like, well, defense really let him down there. They didn't have an outfielder parked in left center field 15 rows up after Machado hit that 78-mile-an-hour changeup or whatever the hell it was.
I mean, as fun as yesterday was, I have a kind of a muted excitement over even the sweep. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm shocked.
Mark's got muted excitement.
Yeah.
The rest of us.
Yeah.
Muted excitement.
I mean, listen,
What is happening?
while you went on vacation, someone had to fill your damn role. So here I am, okay? Here I am.
But must not have been nice. It's not a good role.
No, because they didn't play great baseball. They just won 3 games.
But they needed it.
They did, and that's great, but they're going to obviously they've got a lot more work to do, but Rodon was great. We already knew that.
Mhm.
Logan Webb was great. We already knew that.
Incredible.
What was the rest of the team? Now, I give all the credit for some timely hitting.
Man.
Tyro, that's amazing. But your bullpen is still terrible.
Totally
Your
agree.
Mark's so negative
the
on the
bull-
Giants.
I know.
How? What is going
bullpen?
on?
The bullpen is not good.
There's only one arm you
It's-
trust.
It's-
I agree.
and,
with you.
and he's not available tonight.
I know.
We've come a long way away from their 9 games over 5.
Well, wait a minute. Were you gone for the deadline? Were you already
I
gone?
was gone. Yeah, I was watching.
I was mad.
Yeah.
I was mad right away. You got to go get relievers.
lefty.
It was so
Yeah.
obvious. You had to go get some. If you can't, you cannot come out the next day and say the present matters to us,
Yeah.
and that's why we kept Rodon. Well, if the present matters, you obviously needed to go get 2 relievers if you really wanted to make a run, and they didn't do it. And so I look at a game like yesterday, and the fact that you're coughing up a 5-run lead to Pittsburgh, like this bullpen,
Which is probably true.
the bullpen
They had to
is
sell or buy some relievers.
Yeah.
And they didn't sell, and they didn't buy the relievers.
They brought in
They
J.D.
did turn
Davis.
Darren Ruff into 4 people.
Yeah.
One
That
of
was a good
whom's got
trade. I like
one
that
of
trade.
whom's got 1,000 OPS since he arrived.
Yeah.
So I'm not hating on the deals they made. I thought they were fine. They were odd, but they were. I'm focused on that one thing. You had to go get relievers.
Look, that is a fair point of view. Do any of us in this room think they're a contender? No, we
No.
don't.
Contender
But-
for what? I mean,
They're
Just even a
6 out of the
playoff
wild
spot,
card.
even a playoff spot. But the
Yeah.
reality is that your season's still alive. And for me, just stay alive as long as you can. I don't think they're a perfectly assembled roster by any means. They're a very flawed team. They're top heavy in the rotation. They got one guy in the bullpen we all like. Yeah, they're bailing water. There's no doubt.
Joey
But you're
Bart
still
looks
alive.
better.
You're still alive.
Joey Bart looks better.
Joey
If-
Bart looks
if
like
a
that's been
week
the best
from
story of
now-
the second half.
If a week from now they've run the table this week, then I'm, maybe I'm slightly interested.
Well, if you could cut it in half, get to like 4 games out, right?
Well,
get to that would be believable.
Right.
I'll give you this now. The teams that they're chasing, obviously Milwaukee's only.
Philly, I don't believe in.
Well,
they play Philly 3 games at home early September.
And how is San Diego going to react to this news? I think it's a fair question. That's a gut punch for them. Even I heard you say, Joe, I know it's a gut punch for all of baseball. It's a gut punch for them more than anyone. How are they going to react? Like a 6-game deficit, that's not ridiculous. You're going to have to go on a winning streak right now.
Yes.
Like take these 3 and turn that into 8 or 9. And we got
offense.
a conversation. I don't have a ton of confidence in that right now because in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, you turn the game over to people who all aren't pitching well
What
right
will that
now.
record be over the next 23? They have 23 games against the Rockies, Diamondbacks, and Cubs. Right? Out of 23 out of 48, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Cubs.
17-6 is the only thing that gets them close.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they have to go on a run here.
that would be
And you
equivalent
got
to
a
the
couple
first
games
month.
against the Tigers.
Go to the end of the year. How many do you win? How many do you need? How many
I
wins
think
gets you?
88, 89, you're in strike. Like I think 90 feels like the line of demarcation.
Wow, they're not winning.
I don't
They're
think
not
they're
gonna-
winning 90.
They're not going to win
88 feels
90.
like, but you need help. 88 and you need help.
Is there any chance that 86
I
gets
don't
them
think
in?
so.
They have to win
because
31 to 48. They
That's
didn't win 31 to 48 to get to 87. We're
uh,
basically
So
88.
31 and 17.
So they're 57 now. You want to
That's
get to
doable.
88?
Unlikely, but doable.
just-
The question is, what
Bullpen better stuff
exactly
gets
does
better.
the Tatis thing do to the pods?
I don't know
Does
if
it galvanize them,
I
or
think
does it
so. They still
fracture
add,
them?
they
He hasn't
still
been
add-
there all year.
He hasn't been there all year, and they added Soto and Josh.
No, they're still a good team. They're still a good team, but oh, by the way, they're also still not a great team.
No.
Like one of the most the underbelly of the entire Padres story of the last 3 years is you're super fun. You got great City Connect jerseys. You've got a full excited crowd. The net result of all of this is what?
Barely above 500.
They're hanging on to the last wild card spot
Exactly.
by a thread,
Right.
and they've done nothing in the
But they've
postseason.
added a premium player.
No,
in Soto.
they're
They've added an
they're
I think Josh
star-laden.
Bell's
I
really
love
good.
their approach.
Yeah.
I love their approach. But
Brandon Drury.
it hasn't.
Not bad.
But it hasn't led to anything yet.
Yeah.
And now you get this.
The
Man,
problem is they can't beat the Dodgers.
Well, that's
They can't
one
beat
of
the
them.
Dodgers.
And they're-
The Dodgers own real estate in their domes.
Yeah.
From the bubble playoffs to what happened at Dodger Stadium a couple weeks ago where they got swept. But they're
many
still
more-
a lot better.
How many more times do the Phillies play the Mets? That's what I want to know because
Yeah.
the Mets are on fire
I'll give
right
you
now.
that.
Well,
The Phillies
Philly-
have a ton against the Nats.
Yeah,
Against the Nats, and the Nats are done.
The
Well, they're
Phillies,
bringing up
And the
Abrams.
Marlins, yeah, they are bringing up some
Yeah.
the Phillies have 4 with the Mets this weekend.
There you go.
4 with the Mets this weekend, but then that's it. But they got a ton of Braves.
Okay.
They got a ton of Braves in September.
That's good.
Giants have to hit, though. I mean, let's be honest. Pitching ends the losing streak, but it's the hitting
Timely.
that gets you going. And with 8 of 10, 9 of 10, they got to hit.
I'm going to get geeked out here for a second. First and second yesterday, it's the first inning. Tyler Beatty's on the ropes, okay? On the ropes. They've already given up the home run to Lamont or whoever it was that scored early. They got runners on first, say there's no outs. Old school baseball. Take a little off, go the other way, move the 2 guys, bunt, do something. Instead, Yastrzemski swings through one, strike 3, 1 out. Next guy goes up there, strikes out. There's now 2 outs. You don't get anybody home. I think Jock Peterson advanced maybe on
he
a
got to
pass ball.
third. He got
Whatever
to
it was,
third.
he was at third, first and third. Why on a team that feels like situational hitting is a problem? I know the anti-bunt crowd. I hear them. Why are we not doing it, though? I know I sound like a psychopath here. A 2-run lead for Webb coming out of the first inning is totally different than a 1-0 lead.
Well, first of all, ship has sailed.
Yeah, they don't play that kind of
The
ball
ship,
anymore.
and it's not them, it's all of them. The ship has sailed. Second point, I don't know if can we ever remember Yaz bunting? Can he even do
He's
it?
bunted 1 time this year
Okay.
because of the shift.
Because what will drive the stadium all off
A
into the
bunt
bay
into an out.
is if you try to bunt, you pop it up to the pitcher.
I mean, he struck
Like,
out.
That's
I know,
amazing, though.
I know,
It used to
but-
be there would be like
Thank
2
you.
guys on a
Right.
team that couldn't bunt.
Right.
Now there's like 2 guys
who
on the team that
can.
can.
Do I
Yeah, that's
sound like an old
embarrassing.
relic? Do I
Totally.
sound
That's
like an old
embarrassing.
relic bringing this up, though?
It's for me, it's not that you're wrong. It's just the ship has sailed. The ship
I'm
has sailed.
watching the Mariano
You can
Rivera
like
doc.
vinyl,
I know, but I'm watching the
It's
doc
gone.
with the Diamondbacks, and they're playing. It's game 7.
Yeah.
It's the 9th inning against Rivera. They bunted 3 times in a
Oh,
row.
yeah.
In a row, and they're forcing the defense to make a play. And I get
Well,
it.
especially when you have a team that can't, as Krueger keeps
that's my
saying,
thing.
they can't hit. So why not bunt and get a productive
Well,
out?
and
They
I
can't
think-
do anything.
I
right.
sound crazy. I know.
Okay, now go to that specific moment, and here's one other piece beyond just the we don't bunt.
Yeah.
This team knows Tyler Beatty very, very well.
Right?
And they know that when Tyler gets going in the wrong direction, he has a really, really hard time throwing strikes.
Mhm.
And so my bet is even if somebody brought up butt in that dugout, Yaz got a good eye, probably like, no. The best way to pressure this guy, I'm not bunting and the ball might be 2 inches out of the zone, and I'm going to save this guy by giving him an out. Because they at that point, they're thinking 5-run inning.
But it's inexcusable.
thinking-
Wait a second.
That's what they're thinking.
How many 5-run innings have the Giants even had all
Right.
season long?
Right.
I mean,
Well, how many
when
does
you
anybody
get
have?
And
Right.
Yaz
when
is
you
batting
get to-
220.
Exactly.
So good
You get
eye.
to-
He's batting 220.
to late August, early September, and you're going to play all these close games. You got to be able to
That's
manufacture a run.
Again, I'm not saying you're wrong. This ship is just
I know it has, but
It's just like
but
you're
on this
screaming
kind of
into the
team,
wind.
on this kind of team, when you're trying to fight for your life, it's not the worst thing in the world to
No.
bunt everyone over,
I mean,
especially with Jock, because on a
again,
base
though.
hit, Jock ain't scoring from second.
Again, though,
Have you seen him run?
Yeah, no,
No
but
Giant is
I'm
scoring
kind of
from
with Willard here, where I just want to see the next 12 games because I'm not going to go crazy. You went life and death with the Pirates over 3 games. All right, you swept the Pirates. Pirates
At
were trying to
home.
win at home. You won 2-0.
They
You
cannot
won
catch a pop-up.
5-3, and you blew a 5-run lead because Wood can't. He gets to the 5th inning, and it's like, that's all I have. Let me give up 3 runs and get him back into the game. And you got people bringing up the Brian Reynolds from McCutcheon trade
that's
for crying out loud.
stupid.
It's the Pirates. Larry, are the Pirates one of the most hopeless franchises in all of North American
They're
sports?
4A. They're minor league. I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
The Giants got to find some reliever. Maybe in their own. Obviously, they can't trade for anybody. They got to find somebody
happened to
from
Castro?
within. You know, they traded Castro.
Why?
They DFA'd him
I know.
to the Cubs.
He was on the postseason
because they
roster.
had 4 days of Dixon Machado. You know, that's what happened. They lost Dixon. They lost him
Dixon
in the Machado 4-day
Someone had to play
extravaganza.
shortstop.
Well,
Yeah.
like-
But I mean, they got to find some arm in their system, and they got a couple of guys. They got to find some arm in the
Santos.
next couple of weeks. Maybe Santos, maybe it's his Cole Waits, maybe it's RJ
Sean
Dabovich.
Jelly?
Somebody, Sean Jelly.
What
I'm not a John
Some
Jelly fan.
But what
Arm
can I
has
say
got
this?
to emerge in their
Yeah.
pen, or they're out.
Like,
Yeah.
I agree. Like Sean Jelly might not be anything. I know Brebbia and all these other guys like Garcia. They need to at least try somebody else.
Right.
There's no
They
one.
do.
There is not one guy who gets the ball other than Doval in that bullpen where I'm like, hey, let's see it.
Well,
Like
people are so triggered by the bullpen right now. Logan Webb's walking people in the 8th inning. He's gassed.
Struggling
He's
to get through
gassed,
that.
but he gets a strikeout and gets out. And Twitter immediately is like, "You have to keep him in." I'm like,
Right.
he's at 100 pitches.
Right.
He's gassed. He's getting handshakes in the dugout. I don't even think the dugout or Logan are even thinking about the 9th inning. But everyone's so, and I get it, triggered by the idea of the bullpen. It's like, no, we'd rather have gassed Logan Webb.
It's called
go in
Tyler
there.
Rogers syndrome.
Yeah.
It's,
But you knew it was going to be Doval.
His
I mean,
brother's
it
also
was-
struggling. Tyler Rogers' brother also struggling in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah, well,
lit
so,
up.
so's the guy that he traded him
Yeah,
for. So
yeah. Quick
Well,
thoughts on Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's what
Trey
I want to
Lance.
know.
I thought it was a fantastic day. There's nothing that you could have hoped for out of that day that you didn't get. All the way from, in fact, if there's one thing that a 49er fan would have asked for on the field before the game, it was
Oh,
throw a long one to Danny Gray.
real quick, some
What do you
breaking
got?
news here down in Santa Clara. 49er safety Jimmy Ward had a bad hamstring injury and may not be ready for week 1. Shanahan said it's a little
Shoot.
worse than other guys, so he's going to need some time.
That's
He may not
bad.
play.
That's bad, guys, because that's their thinnest
Yeah,
position.
Tarvarius Moore
Safety.
cannot play that
Yeah,
spot.
Tarvarius Moore
Well,
got
he-
left on the touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay,
Left.
but
Left at the
but
line.
he can play against Justin Fields. So just tell me he's ready to go by week 2, and I'm fine.
No, but
Against
like
Seahawks,
I'm with
yeah.
you on the safety
Oh, okay,
position.
week 3.
Yeah, because now you got Hufanga, who's a hitter,
He's
but
not
he
a
also gets
coverage
beat
guy.
deep. He's
He's
not. He's not there
That's
yet.
a cut. That's a huge hit.
No,
for the
Yeah.
Niners.
Jimmy's a big deal.
When did
Jimmy's a
he
big
get
deal.
hurt? Was that in the
It
game?
had to be a
Maybe-
practice.
No, he
Yeah.
had to be in practice. He wasn't
Yeah.
Gonna be
had
in
to-
practice.
And then you got Ward, who I was feeling so good about coming. The other Ward, Charvarius Ward, and Mosley. They're both hurt. Womack, how good did Womack look?
Womack is good.
How good did he look, Larry?
He was
Womack's
awesome.
good.
He
Can
was
you remember
awesome.
a guy that physical in the slot?
First of all, I can't remember a Niner game where 8 rookies shined.
Drake Jackson looked sick.
Fisher Burford.
How about, by the way, Tim Ryan in the broadcast compared
Bruce
Drake
Smith.
Jackson
I
to
know
Bruce
Bruce
Smith.
Smith. I know we
believe
talked
that
about
name.
that. We
Bruce
talked
Smith.
about that. I had to rewind it because I was like,
thinking
wait a
Tim
minute.
Harris.
Yeah.
I had to
Bruce
rewind it
Smith
'cause
was
it's like-
285.
People don't realize Bruce Smith is a top 5 pass rusher all
200
time.
sacks
He's
career.
right there with Reggie
One of the
White.
greatest of
It's
all
when it
time.
came to 78.
never
Like,
talk
come
about
on,
him.
man. We never talk
Was
about
he
him.
Virginia or Virginia
Virginia Tech.
Virginia
Virginia
Tech.
Tech.
He's a Hokie.
I knew it was
Virginia
one or the
Tech.
other.
But
Yep.
the kid Poe out of
I like him.
he was
The
just
guard?
a beast.
Yeah.
He was just uprooting guys out of there.
I like the Reclamation Project and Robert Nkandiche out of Ole
DJ,
Miss.
yes.
Well, Chris
Nkandiche.
Koserik's one of the best in the business, man. At D-line, he gets the best out of everybody. So
The other random guy, this is super random, but I want a better backup tight end. This Hudson guy, he's super random. He always makes plays downfield.
Yeah.
Now, 84, white tight end. I don't know. I like him. I think he's a
so
player.
any safeties
I
out there
like
because I'm looking at the
He makes
depth
plays in
chart.
practice.
Tarvarius Moore, George Odom, Dante Johnson.
Odom's a
They
special
may go
team guy.
outside and get a safety. That's how thin
Bates.
they are at safety.
Give me the kid from Cincinnati if they're not going to resign him.
Bengals not going to let him go. Mike Brown's
yeah.
not
Oh,
gonna get-
Bates. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
What would it take? A third, maybe, or something like that.
I don't
Maybe,
know.
but Mike Brown's notorious at like sticking to his
Yeah.
guns,
Let
and
him
trying to
sit.
strong arm
Let him
guys.
sit,
Yeah,
yeah.
let him sit. So
One other 49er note, because the 49ers need to make some cuts today.
Yeah.
Before they make
Yeah.
their flight to Minnesota for the joint practices, they have to get down to the 85 player limit. Do not expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be on the list of cuts today. Also,
Oh.
do not expect him to be on the flight.
Oh.
He will not be going
That's
to
such a
Minnesota
weird
with the team.
situation.
So
Are we getting
it's
burritos?
so odd.
what's
Are
that?
we getting burritos?
Somebody is.
I don't even want to win the damn bet anymore.
TikTok.
I don't even care about the bet anymore. I just want to God.
Remember
Did we
what
say
the
cut?
bet?
We say what we say. He was going to get cut.
you were saying we cut. We said trade, and then team keep was a push, but keep ain't happening. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
keep's not
get
happening,
it keeps
yeah.
not happening. So somebody's getting burritos here pretty soon.
Who's going to
Somebody
get traded?
I
Who's going to get
listen,
traded?
Here's one thing I
Jets?
said. This
Jets,
is what I said.
Browns, maybe Browns.
What do you guys all have? What's that thing that you've been meaning to do for 2 months,
I
3
just
months,
did it
6
yesterday.
months that you don't do?
It's called cleaning out the garage
Okay.
and then cleaning out the closet.
Expense report for 95
Expense
cents a
report.
game.
See, for me, it's annual physical. I've
Oh.
been meaning to do this for like 3 months.
Drop your
I
pants.
got to get a new
cough.
right. Turn to the right.
It's
do the-
colonoscopy time.
Yeah, not quite, but anyway, I've been. Maybe I'm going to start
Drink
procrastinating
the
again.
shake. Drink the shake.
But-
do it and do it.
Do you know when you've been meaning to do it, and then the world gives you that little reminder?
Uh-huh.
Like for me, it would be like if suddenly I started getting a pain in my abdomen, like I'm supposed to go get a physical. Zach Wilson going down
Oh,
to me is that reminder to the Browns. Stop messing around. He is going to get suspended. Do the deal.
I like that.
Because at any moment, the 49ers leverage could change.
Yeah.
Any one of these games. You see, Robert Saleh is the head coach of that team. You know, you all thought it.
Yeah.
The second he was limping off, you're like,
And the Jets need
wait.
to make a deal because Joe Douglas is year 3, and
Yeah.
it's New York City.
Yeah.
So the time's ticking.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
already losing their minds. They're already
So-
saying the Ravens game is a must win. And we
Must win.
Reverend Robinson,
Oh, God.
WFAN,
I love that.
they were losing their minds. It's a must win. We haven't won a September game in 3 years. Seriously.
I love that.
I mean,
Joe Flacco against the Ravens. Here we go.
Jimmy
It's
in
gonna
New
be
York
exciting.
City,
So,
that offense, God.
To me,
Oh.
if you're Cleveland, I've said a bunch of times, I think it makes all the sense in the world from everybody's perspective. Stop messing around and thinking that Deshaun's getting anything less than 12 to 17 games. He's not.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Just do this darn thing. Get it done.
Garoppolo in Cleveland, I mean, Nick Chubb, his value, he's going to see 8-9 in the box.
That's why you wait on
Amari
the draft.
Cooper's going to be waving
for 2
his
more
hands
weeks.
like, what's going on? That's not a good fit.
Is
It's not
it any different with Jacoby Brissett?
How
You
great
might-
would it be, though, if
No.
he goes to
Okay,
Cleveland and we
yeah.
got the Niners-Browns bowl?
That'd-
Jimmy against Lance in the bowl in Arizona.
That'd be something else.
Browns have a
Jimmy-
Super Bowl roster.
Dude,
man.
they do have
that's
a
why
great roster.
that's why this would be so good
They
for
have a
Jimmy.
great roster.
This
They
would be
do.
great. Jimmy could win
By the
games
way,
there.
Shasky brought something up because before we go, the running back room, Elijah Mitchell's going to be out for a while. Got a rookie in Tyrion Davis Price.
I love him.
Like him a lot. But the depth of the running backs, why we saw Debo run the ball. Kareem Hunt, would that fly here?
It would
Kareem
fly,
Hunt-
it would fly
I-
with me, but I don't think it would fly here. You know, if you go back and look at that, the charges were dropped.
Yeah, I know.
He did
But we
go.
also-
he did
but
go
we
get
also
counseling.
saw what we
Right.
saw.
No, I know.
I don't
yeah,
need
the video,
charges. I saw
I know.
what I
no,
saw.
I know. But the charges were dropped. So as far as and he was rehabilitated. I mean,
That's the
Michael
thing,
Vick
yeah.
got a
Yes.
second
Right,
chance.
yes.
He tortured animals
So
until they caught him.
Ray
For
Lewis
me-
was part of a double murder. He's down in the Hall of Fame.
Leonard Little played in this division.
Well,
he killed a woman.
Dante Stallworth killed a guy in Miami drunk driving.
And so that means, first of all, does that mean that you want your team to just follow?
No.
Oh, that makes it all okay because those guys.
No, but
So,
I mean,
but
do you
for
believe
me,
in rehabilitation?
I do.
Do you believe in
I
second
do.
chances?
I
Do you believe Kareem Hunt in this offense?
By the way, though, here's why it would never
3-out
happen.
player?
It's not about his legal past. It's about the fact that the reason he's mad is he wants more money.
Well, that
Kyle
part
Shanahan is not going to give a running back money because he believes he can go win games. You
But
talk
you know
about
you
Ty
could
Davis
do? You
Price.
could throw Sermon to them, who's very popular
Maybe.
at Ohio State.
Okay.
And now you got an Ohio
But-
State Jimmy and Sermon, and you got Kareem. and
that
you got
was
a
my
pick.
suggestion.
But that's a lot more expensive. And Kyle knows that he can win games with Trey Sermon and Jeff Wilson Jr. and JaMychal Hasty.
But you know what?
And
Mark,
Ty
None of
Davis
those
you know
guys
what,
are
Mark,
Kareem
though?
Hunt, though.
Yeah, none of those
No.
guys are Kareem Hunt. And I think at some point, Shanahan's going to have to get himself a bell cow at the running back spot. How many years do you have to go through? Jerick McKinnon, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., JaMychal Hasty, Elijah. Guys just keep
Coleman?
dropping.
McKinnon is
I need
exactly
a
why
guy.
they won't.
I need a
McKinnon,
guy.
they paid him. And I think that's the last one they're going to pay.
They need a
Heck,
guy.
Heck, just to get Raheem Mostert an extra $1 million, it took a whole Twitter feud.
Yeah.
It could mean
Like,
a
they're
trip to
not
the
gonna-
bowl. It could mean a trip to the bowl. It
And-
could be that. That's how good
I-
Kareem Hunt is.
I just
He
don't.
is
Wow,
dynamic.
he's dynamic.
He is.
I don't think they see it that way. And you know the Shanahans.
Well,
they
but-
believe they
But
make
Anthony
the
Lynn
star.
is there now, who's
Yeah,
a great running
I
back
know,
coach.
but from Terrell Davis on down, the Shanahans believe
They do.
they make the running back star, not the other way around. That's what they
True.
believe,
It's true.
and they've got a resume that
They do.
That
They
says
do.
so.
I'm not going to dispute that. But
Yeah.
boy, they want Jimmy.
Well, and it would
I'm
make
asking
sense.
for
It would
Hunt.
make sense from the Browns because I think Hunt makes 6. You throw 6 coming back, then they can take Jimmy's deal.
And the Browns have Dearness Johnson. They'll say, "Hey, we'll just have him back up, Chubb."
Jerome Ford, they got other guys. They got Chubb.
Guys, I don't know if it'll fly
Yeah.
out here. I
I
don't know.
I don't think. I mean, there'd be
That's-
protests. There'd be a lot of unhappy people.
But you know what? Kareem Hunt scores 3 touchdowns in week 2 against the Seahawks. We'll be buying Kareem Hunt jerseys in red and gold. That's the truth. I'm not saying what he did
Yeah,
is right.
I think
That's the truth.
I mean, he's
think
going to play somewhere in the league, right? I mean, is it? You
he's
know,
going to play for Cleveland.
some people just say, no. You know what?
The Rams would take
domestic
him.
violence. No.
No, I actually I don't even think that's the number one reason on the list as to why it won't happen. I just think I don't think the 49ers are going to pay running backs.
Well, you don't have to pay him. You could say, hey, Kareem, sit.
Play the year out. Look
Play
what
the
Raheem
year out.
Mostert
Let's
did.
see how it goes.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
hit
but
free
That's
agency.
what Cleveland's telling him, and he's not happy about it. So
Yeah.
I don't know why that
Well,
would.
he's also behind Chubb.
he-
That's the one difference that he's behind. If
This-
you're looking for a payday, you want to get as many touches as possible. I'm not saying it would be
You're going to
better
grab
here.
him on August 15th and make him the starter in an
No,
offense
but-
he's never been in the complex. Like
Kyle changes things so quick.
I
Raheem
know.
Mostert came out
I
of
know.
nowhere.
I don't think
Right.
the 49ers are motivated to do that. I think they
No, I
feel
don't
fine
think
about
so.
their running back room.
But if
They've
they
drafted
want
someone 2 years in
Garoppolo,
a row.
they want Garoppolo, and they want me to eat money. If I'm John Lynch, why not?
No,
Hey,
you know who
what?
No, you know who needs to eat
Kareem
some
Hunt?
money on this deal is Jimmy, not the 49ers.
Well, good
Jim-
luck with that.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
no, good luck because if you
Good
cut
luck
him,
with
you're going to
that.
make a third.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy's absolutely motivated to shave $10 million off that deal because he's going to shave about 15 off of that deal if he goes to the open market,
Don Yee.
right? They know
What
that.
an offseason
They
for
know
Don.
that.
What an offseason for Jimmy, man. And just working out before practice. And it's just so weird.
Does he
Just
watch
like-
the game from a
Like,
hotel?
it's just like,
Yes,
like
you
what
know
is
he
he
watches.
doing?
Camera
Like,
fans left. They're like, oh, look at Jimmy.
Hey, by the way, guys, the best Lance moment
Huh.
was the slide down.
Thank you.
The slide
Thank
down.
you.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? You're a bad man at the FCS level. In the NFL, slide down.
And he
Slide
went
down.
head first multiple times last
Yeah.
year and got cracked.
the
Right.
goal line to get in Arizona. We
but
could
like,
Yeah,
put him
Isaiah
against
Simmons.
Simmons and somebody
Yes.
else, and he got pow.
He
He played
resets
smart.
his
He played
feet
very smart.
twice,
He-
and then he slides. Russ made a career, and Russ is way smaller, sliding. And you almost slide into guys, you get those penalties left and right.
Well,
I totally agree
But it
with you on
wasn't
the
even a
down.
slide, though. It was the resetting in the
But the
pocket.
slide's important.
Yeah, the slide is important.
It's important
Yeah, that's important. He's
for
going to get
longevity.
down, no doubt about it. He's going to
No,
slide.
even-
but I would that to me, that's going to come. It's and then getting out of bounds when you're on the sideline and stretching the ball out.
Yeah.
Don't take the punishment. But resetting in a pocket where everybody said, "Hey, he's a run first quarterback." Looks, there's nothing there. I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna reset one more time. Keeping the eyes down the field for a second-year pro. That's impressive.
No,
to me.
he-
That was the most impressive thing
he-
about that play to me.
He played
Yeah.
a technically smart football game. Even the sack that he took was one of those good Baldy breakdown on
You
it.
see
Where the
that?
sack that he took
He's
was
the
a
best.
smart play to hold on to the
Yep.
ball in that situation. And then to go back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, like the one thing that you're hoping as a 49er fan, you're thinking, okay, you got Trey Lance so that if it's not this year, but someday you can stretch the field in a way that Jimmy couldn't.
He's done it in
and
every
then you
game.
draft Danny Gray. And I'm going into that game. I said it on the TV that morning. I go, there's one thing I hope happens. And I want to see Danny Gray for a long one.
And Mark,
and he nailed him.
He
nailed him.
They got a vertical game now.
He dropped him in the bucket. I mean,
but here's the thing.
They try to get that out of Trent Taylor and
And-
Richie James. Jr.
And you've been there a lot. He doesn't like get off the line against the DBs of the 49ers. So I'm thinking, all right, guys, we're going to have to be a little patient on Danny Gray because he doesn't show me anything.
Yeah, he's a rook.
But and then you get lined up against the safety and it's, curtains.
I mean, he's so they got the vertical double dip now because they got McLeod.
I love
How about
Ray.
McLeod's move where he just
Ray
left
Ray.
the guy?
Yeah,
And
Ray
then he took a hit
McLeod.
over the middle.
Yeah,
He got
and he fumbled.
He's
though.
going to
Yeah,
need to hold
he
on to the
got
ball.
popped.
Yeah, he'll get
I
in
like him,
Kyle's
though.
doghouse
I
real
like Ray.
fast if he keeps dropping the ball.
Ray's big time.
But this offense is going to be special, especially when they get into the red zone of the things you could do with Trey. And, Shanahan, I love Shanahan lying to us after the game, said, yeah, Jimmy can make that throw today.
No, he can't.
No, he can't. Stop, Kyle. You don't need to do that to us.
If he
We saw
steps into it and everything's perfect,
Yeah, he can.
We saw Jimmy. I was
Usually didn't.
I
but
was
he
at
can.
Jerry's World when Ayuk's running wide open, and he literally threw Dallas back into the football game. And I'm thinking,
Oh, that
gosh,
throw into the flat in the no man's land.
no
What
man's
are
land.
you
Or
looking
Ayuk with the
at?
post corner,
I'm-
and he airmails it.
I'm contractually obligated to say no shoulder when he made that throw, but go ahead. You're not wrong.
I mean, he threw it four
How-
yards. I mean, it was
You're not wrong.
in
You're
the
not
no
wrong.
man's land.
No, you're not wrong.
Kyle, you check shoulder. That was the problem in Tennessee. Nashville.
Oh, that was a bad game. That second half ticked me off too. Don't you worry.
Anything on Jordan Love as you watch a backup quarterback that we do this transitive
Yeah.
property thing. You sit behind a Hall of Famer and you learn all this wisdom from him. He looks terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's talk they may trade him.
For what?
Jordan
just to
Love.
offload
What a
him.
miss there.
We
What
always-
a miss
yeah.
there for the Pack.
And
Yeah,
then they
we always-
alienated their guy.
Yeah. I mean, we always forget. I mean, Brandon Ayuk is a 49er because of the mistakes the Packers made late in the first round of drafts. So
true.
yeah,
That was a loaded wide
they-
receiver class.
they
But
messed
they got
this-
Romeo Dubs, and Dubs looked
By the
good.
way, is it Dobbs? Dubs?
Dobbs.
Well,
Dobbs.
Rogers
It
looks
looks like
weak. The other guy, Amani Rogers or whatever.
Amari.
Oh,
Well,
at Clemson.
don't
I thought he'd be
forget-
a lot better.
don't
I
forget
I thought he'd be a lot better.
Trey Lance's teammate
I like
Christian Watson hasn't
Yeah.
played,
Yeah, I like him. as a
and I
prospect.
think they're excited about him. So we'll see. The
They got
Packers.
Rogers. He'll figure it out.
And they're in the NFC North. I mean,
They're winning that division
Right.
for kicks.
Thank
right.
you.
They'll win 10 games just because.
Though Dan
Although-
Campbell, by the
Right.
way,
Is the
awesome.
best.
Hey,
Hard Knocks
He's
is
the
pretty
best.
good.
The
Did
up
you-
and downs, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
They were going full contact in the first day of pass.
dude, Chelsea for yoked.
He's
What are you
dipping the
doing?
entire time. Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley yelling at each other was
Oh,
priceless.
how great was
Was
that?
so
Jamal
good.
Williams crying on the
So
first day
good.
of practice. Like, what's going on?
I thought
That's
Aaron
gonna be
Glenn and
fun
Deuce Staley may have been playing for the cameras.
It
was
man.
great.
I mean, it was incredible.
a little bit. All right. You got Low Neal at 10 o'clock.
Low Neal at 10, 100 pence,
100
11:30.
pence.
100
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Wow.
gap.
2012.
But
Fun.
yeah, we'll get into Trey Lance
You
here
got a
in just
great,
moments, and then Larry will break down all of the
All
people we've never heard of as well.
So Willard and Krueger coming up. That'll be brought to you by the San Diego Tourism Authority. When you're happy and you know it in San Diego, there's no limit to how you can show it. Endless sunshine, coastline, and outdoor adventures inspire waves of feel-good vibes. Plan your trip today at sandiego.org.
Trey Lance balled out in his first preseason game.
Lance looking. Rainbow left side. Got a man out there over the shoulder. Catch down the left sideline to the end zone for the touchdown. And it is the rookie draft choice, Danny Gray.
This is the Bay Area's sports station.
Those are facts.
95.7 The Game.
In order for small businesses to thrive, they need to be smart, efficient, agile, staying ahead of the market at every turn, and finding ways to do more with less. That's never been more important than it is right now. So for a limited time, Comcast Business is introducing Small Business Savings, a deal for companies across the country. When you call in now, you can get powerful internet for just $39 a month for 12 months. $39 a month with no annual contract and a money.
My dude.
Well, except for today, it's not. We need to start with just sending out a very, very warm happy birthday to both Dan Dibley and the producer of this show, Kyle Madsen. Both of them decided to take the day off and celebrate themselves.
Look at that.
Yeah. So happy birthday to both of them. Kyle, I think, is turning, 32? Did he turn 32 today? Nobody knows. We're guys. Dan turns 88. So happy birthday to Dan Dibley, and good luck with the forthcoming baby here about a month away.
That's right. Maybe he's online right now for the early bird special. You know what I mean?
I hope he is. But Larry Krueger is here, everybody. Hi, bud. What's going on? Yeah.
What's up, man? Good to see you.
He looked good, don't you think? What'd you think? I thought he looked good. I mean, I think all you could have.
Who are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about him, and that's what I mean. That's all you need to say now. Whenever there is a new QB1 in your town, that's all you need to say. He looked good.
It's like DiMaggio. Did he get a hit?
Right. That we don't need to tell you his name. We know exactly what we're talking about. In fact, we don't ever need to use a last name again. He's just like Madonna. He's Trey. That's who he is. And look, it was 5 passes. And I think kind of like what we were talking about a couple minutes ago, there's more of an intricate look. I'm glad that he was accurate on a long throw. I'm glad he made some good decisions. But what I was looking for is for the game to not look too fast to him. It didn't. And then I even love some of the stuff that you saw out of the Brock Purdy story, where in the second half of that game, he throws a touchdown pass.
He looked good too.
And in the celebration of all that, the ball gets tossed away, and who notices and thinks to himself, boy, I bet Brock's going to want that ball. That's his first professional touchdown throw. Who notices and goes and chases down the ball and gets it for him? None other than Trey Lance. Like, he's smart. He's going to totally have the locker room behind him. I don't know if he's going to make every throw. I don't know if he's going to be great, but everything that you could hope for out of that night, I think you got it.
Well, not only did he do that for Purdy, he did it for Danny Gray on that first touchdown.
Yep, that's true.
Gray threw it down. Trey's like, well, give me that ball. And then he handed it to him on the sideline. Yeah, I mean, Trey's deep ball was just a thing of beauty. And I'll say this, I've been to enough practices this summer to know that the deep ball accuracy is a strength of Trey Lance. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Russell Wilson. He'll drop it with some pretty good loft, and he'll hit guys in stride and drop it right in their hands in the bucket, as they say. So that was beautiful. And you're right. He didn't look overwhelmed. And to a man, if you talk to his teammates, they say, hey man, the guy's putting in the reps, mental reps, physical reps, and he's coming along. So it's still there's going to be ups and downs.
Sure.
But as far as the 49ers developing a downfield passing attack, which makes defenses defend more grass, they got their guy.
And again, who knows? I have no idea what Packer defenders were actually out there, which ones weren't. And we know a lot of the people that Trey will actually be throwing to and who will be blocking for him also were not there in this game. So there's only so much that I'm gonna grab from that. But you even touched on another piece, like, so much of sports, whether it's debate, whether it's assessing a certain player, evaluation, if you will, so much of that for us comes down to just black and white. Like, did you play well? What are your numbers? Did you not play well? But at this stage, there are so many other pieces. The 49ers are hiring not just an employee, they're hiring someone to be the face of their franchise they hope for a decade. And when you do that, there's a lot more than just dropping it in the bucket that matters. It does matter what kind of teammate you are. It does matter what kind of work you're putting in. He has passed every test on that kind of front, like who he is, in addition to what he is, I feel like is proving to be a major strength. And you don't really know that until someone gets in. Guys will surprise you all the time. Sometimes even guys who you thought you knew for years will surprise you. And so I'm also encouraged by just the way he's handling situations.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. NFL teams research all of it, right? But there's so much more focus on what was his 40? How tall is he? What's his hand size? All these measurables. But in reality, the way more important variable is how hard is he going to work? Does he love the process of pro football?
Does he love football?
Is he going to put it in the time? Is he going to put in the time? When everybody's looking at their watch all the time, are you looking at your watch going, man, I got to get to the facility? Or are you looking at your watch at the facility going, man, I got to get home? You know what I mean? And he's the kind of guy that lives for the process and spends the time and does the reps. So I thought it was the best part I thought of Friday night was the 49ers didn't have a vertical game the last year. And they were asking Ayuk to run off the coverage. And I think that was part of the source of his discontent, partially because he was running the deep routes and he's not getting the ball. So, I mean, and he didn't have any hope that he was getting the ball. So you stop running those routes with the same vigor. But now they got Ray McLeod. Now they got Danny Gray. Now they've got vertical threats. And that's a whole nother element to defend outside of the play action and the run game and all the Kittle and Debo and all the things they can do. Now they can stretch the field on you and go up top.
Here's what Kyle Shanahan said after the game with regard to Trey Lance's performance.
Solid. The first play didn't have one, made a good scramble. It was nice to come down with that third down play to Danny. So he did some good things. It was a good first game. Wish we had kept him out there more, but got to get him out.
Yeah, got to get him out. And by the way, not going to get him back in anytime soon. I know that he's going to do the joint practices in Minnesota, but not expected to play in game 2. We're going to see Trey one more time before we see him for real.
Yeah, and they fly today, I believe, to Minnesota, and they practice 2 times this week. I thought it was really interesting, too, Mark, that Kyle Shanahan made it perfectly clear that he values those 2 days of practice against the Vikings much more than the game. So even though he sat 20 guys Friday night, and a lot of them were key guys, he's going to sit just as many, if not more, in the second preseason game.
Absolutely. And then here's Shanahan comparing Trey to Jimmy, because we're just going to do that for a while.
Not really. I mean, I think that was an undervalued thing with Jimmy. Jimmy could throw the ball and throw it real far. So, I mean, I think everything's been was available with Jimmy. It is with Trey, but there's different types of styles. And I think our team will figure that out as it goes. And I think you guys will see the difference as it goes.
Okay. So we know Kyle is going to forever be nice to Jimmy. And I get that. But I love the way he said that. Hey, Jimmy could throw the ball really far.
Well, you know what?
Throwing it far and throwing it accurately far are two very, very different things.
Hey, this guy that we're trying to trade for a good asset or two is actually pretty good.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, this guy that we want to trade an assets for, you know what? He's flawed. He's deeply flawed, and we need to get him out of here.
Well, deeply flawed, I don't know. Flawed, yes. But again, I keep thinking about this in the back of my mind. There are 32 of these jobs every year in the world. There are 32 of them, and less than 32 of them every year we've ever had, less than 32 of them are done well. So how many year in and year out QB1 jobs do you have where you're like, that guy did a good job? Maybe we won more games than we lost. Statistically, whatever, he was significantly more touchdowns than interceptions. How many of those do we have in any given year? 20 people on planet Earth? And this is why I always go back to this. This is why I've defended Jimmy for years. I know he's not perfect. And in fact, I totally support the Niners moving off of him and going to Trey Lance. But this idea that we've fallen into all summer, nobody wants Jimmy. You got to be kidding me.
Nobody wants Jimmy's contract.
Okay, thank you. And nobody has to take Jimmy's contract. Nobody's saying you got to pay him $25 million this year. Who's saying that? Baker Mayfield took a pay cut, and the Browns paid for some of it.
If you trade for him, you do get the full contract. You have the ability to get with Don Yee and rip the whole thing up and renegotiate.
And why wouldn't they? Because if the 49ers cut him, what do you think Jimmy's getting on the open market on August 15th?
He's
half? I think less. I don't even think he's getting half.
Yeah, he's getting 12.
Someone's going to give him 12 on August 15th?
I would say, as Eddie Murphy said,
you think Seattle would give him 12?
He gets half.
Okay. So the Browns, with a truckload of cap room, go to Jimmy and say, hey, cut $8 million off the deal. And maybe 49ers, we can throw in 3. Something.
Or take this player making 6.
Right. And as I said earlier, I mean, the minute I watch Zach Wilson limp off that field, if I'm the Browns and I actually have designs on this, that's a wake-up call.
By the way, did you notice the James Wiseman suffers a meniscus and he's out for a year and a half? Zach Wilson, those can be back playing a much more violent sport with a torn meniscus.
2 to 4 weeks.
He'll be back in 2 to 4 weeks.
We'll see about that.
Yeah,
We'll see
I
if
bet
he's really
you
back
that
2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I think when they actually start to look deeper into that, that's going to be a several month injury.
So who knows? Maybe the 49er leverage did change with that injury.
Yeah.
Although they have a very, very veteran presence backup quarterback already on the roster there in Joe Flacco. I don't know if Joe Flacco is going to win you any games, but I don't know that Zach Wilson was going to win you any games. Like, the one thing we learned with the Dolphins over the last couple of years is, yeah, tanking does happen. And teams who know that they're not going to win a Super Bowl, maybe they're not all that much. Yes, you want to win. Yes, you want to keep your job. All of that, as you pointed out, it's year 3, year 4 for a regime. That's fine. But the Jets are aware they're not winning the bowl this year. They know that. And so while Zach Wilson is out, are you just hell-bent on winning games while he's out? I don't know.
Well, Robert Saleh's probably not because it's only year 2, but Joe Douglas probably is because it's, I think, going into year 4, right? So this is a big deal for him. He's probably done at the end of the year if he doesn't get it done. So maybe there's some motivation there. The bigger question for me is, what are the Browns and Andrew Berry, their general manager, doing? I mean, you're sitting there, and if you're committed to going with Jacoby Brissett, fine. But don't you realize that as soon as the Deshaun Watson decision becomes official, if he gets 10, 12, 14 games for the full season, the price on Jimmy probably goes up right there.
Well, don't you think they already know? They've got to already know. Like, don't you feel like you know it's at least 12, right? I mean, Ian Rappaport is already, like, it is, right?
The weekend report was that it's going to be maybe the full year.
Probably the full year, but at least 12. And if you know that, and I know that, then the Browns knew that 2 weeks ago. And it just feels like.
So what's your read? That they're just going with Brissett?
I feel like this is.
Why wouldn't you make that deal 3 weeks ago if you feel like 12 is coming?
Because it basically signals to the world that you already know what's going on with Deshaun, and Deshaun is over here behind door number 2 going, I'm still trying to negotiate a settlement, and you're acquiring a quarterback for the year while the public still thinks I'm only missing 6 games. I'm your $230 million quarterback, and you're going to do me like that? So the Browns, from a PR standpoint,
created this situation.
The Browns did, and so did Deshaun.
Well, Deshaun did.
Well, he created the first part, and then the Browns created the second part by giving him $231 million guaranteed dollars while in the midst of this. So I'm not saying they're innocent, but they're in bed together, and they're going to stay there. And so you're not going to do the guy like that and announce the acquisition of Jimmy Garoppolo before this thing is final. So
then prepare to pay more, right?
Or maybe they already know it's the full season, and maybe the 49ers and Browns have already negotiated a deal, and maybe they just can't announce it yet. And maybe that's why the 49ers look like they're just twiddling their thumbs. And Jimmy is just smiling and jogging, and nobody cares, because in theory, this would be a situation where everyone would be really stressed right now. Jimmy should be stressed. Like, I'm about to miss another year of my career in my early 30s in my prime. Because why? Because you want to play chicken with me?
All the key parties do seem to
be chilling.
Everybody seems like they know the score, right? You know, I mean, Jimmy definitely doesn't seem like, oh man, my future is totally unknown. It's like, it's unknown to you guys. It's not unknown to me. That's the vibe I get.
Totally. So maybe they do. And then, see, here we go. 415. I don't think you guys realize that Brissett is better than Jimmy. No, he's not. Go look at the numbers. Actually talk to people in the league. No, he's not.
There's no way.
510. Why would the Browns actually need Jimmy? For a rental? It makes no sense. No. A rental is exactly what they need. It's literally the definition of what they need. Their house is being torn down.
Right.
And they need somewhere to live for 1 year. But by the way,
they got a mansion in Pack Heights coming.
And in that 1 year, they feel like they can get something done. They've got a really good roster. And then Jimmy's over here going, I need to show the league that I'm still a starter. Where do I want to do that? How about somewhere with a really good roster? I don't know. I look at this.
Stefanski's got a similar system.
It's like it checks all. Don't you think it checks all the boxes?
It absolutely is perfect. It's a perfect launch point for him. He's got weapons. He's got a team. He's got a line. He's got a defense. Yeah, I mean, I think Cleveland's almost a perfect spot for
Got
Jimmy.
2 running backs.
He's got 2 running, maybe 3, and this Jerome Ford's tremendous. So they got a lot of talent there. I would, if I'm Jimmy and I could pick a place, I'd probably pick Cleveland.
Right. I agree. So that Zach Wilson injury to me was real interesting because all of a sudden, and again, maybe a deal has already been agreed to. But probably not one that you could wiggle out of.
Right.
It's not done yet. So
Joe Douglas on line 3 for John Lynch.
any one of these games could feature a major player limping off.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Which is another reason why, a lot of people were like, gosh, why don't we see more of Trey? I almost want to see less of him. I'm thrilled that he's not playing in the next game. And my goal in game 3 will be to get him off of the field as quickly as possible. I love the maturity that he showed, whether it's sliding, getting down in the pocket, knowing how to take a hit, whatever. I mean, these preseason games, August is the scariest month of the year in the NFL. I know it's no better if they get hurt in week 1, but at least you feel then like you went down trying for something that mattered.
Well, I'll tell you, too, the other takeaway from this weekend was that the 49er roster cut down is going to be difficult because they got 3 quarterbacks they probably want to keep. Probably want to keep Sudfeld. They probably want to keep Purdy. Purdy looked really good. I mean, really good. He's got more of an arm than Nick Mullins. So, and the good news is that quarterback room is so cheap relative to the rest of the league.
Totally.
So, but they are going to probably have to keep 3. And that's going to make the roster cut down very tight because this is a deep roster that Lynch has assembled.
It's loaded. It's absolutely loaded, which is why I get further excited by what I saw from Trey Lance, because as much as we want him to come in and do a lot, he doesn't really need to.
No.
What he needs to do is not mess up.
Stay healthy. And you know what he really needs to do is get in sync with some other receivers besides Ayuk. And just get into playing in a rhythm. The one thing, when you play a game, then you wait 4 or 5 weeks, you play another game. You didn't play except one game the season before that against Central Arkansas. This is a quarterback who's got all the skills, all the talent in the world. He doesn't have a rhythm. He hasn't played enough. Get into some form of a rhythm in your offense with your receivers. To me, that's the goal, whether it happens in the preseason or in the first, week 1 and 2 of the regular season. He's got to find some kind of rhythm. I don't think we've seen it yet.
My big question when we went through camp, and again, camp yesterday for Trey Lance, inaccuracy issues.
Right, I was there. It was not a great practice.
Yeah, what'd you see?
Well, I just saw a guy that, hit the back fence on a couple throws.
Throw the ball really far.
I mean, seriously, he missed a sideline pass that aired, 5 feet above the receiver. He threw a lot of accurate passes, but he had a lot of inaccuracies. He had a couple picks. He had a couple tipped. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a stellar practice.
Okay, so a couple picks, a couple tipped. My big question has been, because I know this has been a fallback for a lot of 49ers observers, is, well, part of the reason it looks that way is because the 49er defense is really, really, really good. Okay, maybe, or maybe not. We don't know what they actually look like. Early returns, and I don't know if those were the Packers starters on what level, but the early returns, he did look different against a different defense than the 49er defense. However, now I can spin it back the other direction and go, especially with this morning's news, that Jimmy Ward has a significant hamstring injury, which is just...
That's a crusher.
It's a crusher. It's
the
a
leader
crusher.
of the team.
I mean, Jimmy Ward, the story that he's been through, you go back 3 years ago when the whole fan base was dying for Earl Thomas, and the 49ers came out and went, we have re-signed Jimmy Ward. And people went, you've got to be kidding me. The guy can't stay healthy. Right. And he's been fantastic. He's been so good. But here comes another injury. And this one, when they're talking about week 1, 4 weeks before week 1,
I know.
It's a bad injury. And then Ward and Mosley, the other Ward, have been missing practices. So he's not going against this elite 49er secondary anymore, and he's still having trouble. So, look, some guys are those guys where they always worry. They're like, gosh, they look great in practice, and then the lights came on. They didn't. Maybe Trey's the reverse.
There are guys like that.
Yeah, maybe Trey's a guy that needs the lights to come on.
Yeah, that's possible. And also, the 49ers, they sat 20 guys. There was no Ayuk. There was no Trent Williams.
Right.
There was no Kittle. There was no Debo. There was no Juwan Jennings. I mean, They didn't play any of their top guys. I was surprised they let Trey go 2 series with no Trent Williams. I mean, he's the blindside protector. So you got to factor all those things in. I don't put too much credence or too much concern into the up and down practices. These guys, he's a young player. It's not going to be a straight line ascent to greatness. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be adversity. The whole position is about overcoming adversity.
Good morning to you, and we're glad you're with us, and we absolutely welcome your participation. 888-957-9570 if you want to call. That's our Comcast business text line as well. Good morning, Twitch and YouTube. Thank you for being with us. Isn't Larry a lovely looking human being, right? Am I right? Huh? Okay. And Lo Neal is coming up here in just about 5 minutes. We always love hanging with him, and I know you're going to get used to hanging with him a whole lot here.
So on Friday night
season. Okay. So we can go around the league. The concerns of, by the way, the Soldier Field surface and I know that was partially because was it an Elton John concert? Something had happened, and the Soldier Field surface was brutal. But the minute I saw these concerns about the Soldier Field surface, I'm like, my mind immediately went to 2 years ago in that Jets game early in the season when the 49ers started losing guys.
Right.
I'm like,
at MetLife.
Don't tell me that the surface is going to be a mess for the 49ers' very first game. So Deshaun Watson, what we saw from Trey Lance, we'll get to all of that with Lowe. Hunter Pence is coming up a little bit later on in the show. So very glad you're with us. Larry is in for the birthday boy. Dan Dibley and Kyle Madsen both out on their birthday today. It's Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
What do you think of Trey Lance's first preseason game?
Trey Lance, bro, he about to bring us another 5 ring, you feel me? We got BA, we got Danny Gray, you feel me?
Lance rainbow left side, got a man out there. Oh. And it is the rookie draft choice, Danny Gray.
Got behind Dallin Levitt.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
And Larry is in for Dibs, and it's all sponsored by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises. That's Wayne Larrivee on the Packers Radio Network. And not only do we love it when you call us Big Papa, but Lo, we just love it when you call us at all. So hey, man, what's going on? What'd you think? What'd you think of Trey?
Yeah, you know what? Everyone's waiting to see what they think of Trey and what's this Niner team going to be with the new quarterback taking over the regime. I think it's very simple. I know everyone says taper expectations, and they say, you know what, you got to be patient. And they say, you know what, just win, but, don't expect to. I disagree with all of the above. I think when you have this organization and you're coming off of a Super Bowl where you make the NFC Championship game and you're one play away from winning that game, you in a Super Bowl and almost win the Super Bowl several years ago. You've been so close, so the chemistry in the nucleus in the team is here. So why now temper expectations? You said you had a quarterback in the last 4 years that you said he's good, but he's not great. He's average throwing the ball, but he's not great. His pocket presence is average or a little bit below average. When in trouble, I'm going to get an interception or maybe a fumble or a sack. Doesn't take care of the ball. So that's what you had, and you're still able to go that way. But no one doubts his leadership and his ability to play football, and that's Jimmy G we're talking about. But now you said, I have to turn the page. Only reason you're turning the page is because the organization and the staff and the front office believe that Jimmy G didn't have the tangibles to take them to the next step. So you wait a year because you say Trey doesn't, because let me tell you, if Trey was good enough last year and if Trey was ready last year, Trey would have been the starting quarterback last year. So when everyone's talking about taper expectations, no, you expect this team to get to the playoffs and you expect this team to compete for a championship because they're that good. This San Francisco 49er team right now, watching them play, and you saw the rookie, the speedster that which you just played, and Trey hits it. Think about now, you have Debo that can run that deep 6 route. You have Kittle that can run the middle of the field. You have Ayuk who can run that outside 5 route or whatever, a 7 route, 5 route, anything outside. And then you have the youngster that can go downfield. How do you cover them? You can't double Debo, because if you double Debo, now if Trey can beat you with the long ball because he's got the speed on the outside, this kid runs a 4.2 40, and Ayuk possession, it is going to be trouble. And that's why Kansas City, think about Cheetah, what they had in Cheetah, why he was able to stretch the field and go vertical. So now the safety, 2 or 3 guys would have to go, and all the underneath stuff, that's what made Kansas City great. Kansas City's in trouble this year. The Niners, watching this team and seeing the defense, and if this team still can run the ball like we know the Niners are built to do, this is still a hell of a ball team, guys. Still a hell of a ball club.
Well, it was good to see you Friday night. I'm fired up to be doing the pregame with you. You played fullback in this league for a long time. And by the way, I totally agree with what you're saying about Jimmy. I think the bigger issue was not about Jimmy and the performance and what he couldn't do. I think it was really a lot about, let's put it on a piece of paper. We've assembled this incredible roster. We want to keep it all together. We're going to be able to keep it together if we have a rookie quarterback, making rookie money, so we can pay Ayuk and we can pay Bosa. I think it has a lot more to do with the finances and less to do with Jimmy's inherent flaws. But let me ask you about Trey. You played in the league. So if you're a fullback, let's say you're a fullback on this, you're Juszczyk, you're a fullback on this Niner team. What do you want to see in this camp from Lance?
Well, I think you continue to run the ball. I think if I'm fullback, if I'm playing in the National Football League today, and I know that we have a Trey in this team on this team, and I know that the way that I block and the way that Cal Juszczyk's block and the way that this team, when you got Trent Wilkes, you got Trent Richards, and you say, what can Trent do, Trent Williams rather? You know it's your offensive line, how that's a great staple. In the last several years, we've been one of the best running team in the league. Now, if I'm a fullback, I'm saying, I'm making sure we're able to run the ball. I'm at practice saying, guys, we got to make sure that we make our run, make sure we're a dominant run team, because if you continue to do that, that makes it that much easier for a Trey. Because now when Trey hands the ball off and now he pulls back bootleg, the backside becomes the front side. You have to realize when you have a run and you run a zone and a stretch read, and especially leading with Cal Juszczyk, the way that he's blocked, and Mitchell, the way that he's starting to run and hit the holes, and watching this team. So if you're running to the left, the defensive end has to come down the line of scrimmage because he knows this is a team that looks for those cutbacks. And if the defensive end doesn't come down the line, the running back is going to cut back, and there's a huge hole. And if he foams down in the line, if he scrapes hard down the inner line, now Trey can keep the ball, and now you have the bootleg. Now if you're able to run with consistency, running the ball, and you're asking me, what am I looking for? So how are we going to set up the pass? If by running the ball, now hats down, everyone's coming off the line. Now you have the linebackers. They have to stop their feet. They have to stay planted because they got to protect the run. So the hat's going to go down. They're going to run to respect the run play. Now the tight end, middle of the field's open. Get behind the linebackers. Now the Ayuk's open. So you open up your pass game with a good run game, especially for a good young quarterback. So I want to see how this guy handles under the center, and I think you'll see the San Francisco 49ers put Trey a lot more under the center than in the gun. Yes, you're going to have to be in obvious pass downs. You're going to be in the gun. But on obvious when plays that sometimes first, second, even third down, look for this team to have a quarterback underneath the gun, some type of run read, a fake, draw, just to hold the linebackers, because I think that now this young man is able to read the coverages, and when you have a good running game, it makes it a lot more easier, especially for a young quarterback.
Okay, the great Lo Neal with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. Larry is in for Dibs, and as you heard Larry mention, these two gentlemen will be doing 49ers pregame for us all year long right here on 95.7 The Game. So Lo, this is you're getting me going here because we've certainly been gathering around this idea of patience. Like, oh, Trey it's gonna take some time. There's gonna be some first-year starter bumps and bruises. The way you talk about it, should we just jump right in and sort of expect good things and be able to assess Trey right away based on the roster that's around him?
Yes, guys, absolutely. This San Francisco 49ers, John Lynch and Cal Shannon, they put talent around this young man. And the running game, that's why they went out. You drafted another running back. You're trying to make sure that Mitchell, that you save him. You went out and you signed Debo. You know what he brings to the table. You got Mitchell. You got a lot of guys on this team. You got Ayuk. You got the best, one of the best, if not the best, tight end in the league. So you have the best fullback. You have offensive lineman. You tell me, why should we temper expectation and say, oh, well, he's a rookie? Well, guess what? He's not in Jacksonville. Guess what? He's not in Cleveland. This is not a situation where, guess what? It's a fire sale where you don't have enough around him. You have talent. So you look at Cincinnati. You look at the Dirty Net. You went out and grabbed this quarterback. Cincinnati was the Bengals. They call them the Bongos. Think about a laughing stock of the league. You went out and got a guy, a signal caller, that can go out and operate at a high level. You put a running game. You look at, the running backs and the running game they have. They went out and surrounded him, went out and got Chase, a great wide receiver at the Ohio State, and look at the Cincinnati Bengals. So, yes, I think that you shouldn't be saying, oh, just wait. Cal Shanahan understand what he has. Cal Shanahan, you got to realize, look at the corners and look at the secondary that the Niners, how everyone's picked up their game. Trey Lance has to see that every day. You don't think Shanahan's making it difficult to make him go through reads and being able and the speed of the game? Of course he is. He's had a year sitting behind a smart guy in the room with Jimmy G, and Jimmy G's teaching and doing the things that he knows that he could do. So Trey Lance. Yes, might have some problems, but what quarterback does it? I think this team, in my opinion, you look at the NFC. Okay, we know the Rams are there. But think about the NFC, guys. Who scares you?
Tampa.
Who's really?
Maybe Tampa.
Seattle. Maybe Tampa. I agree. But I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay, maybe Tampa. But look at the talent that's on the Niners. Why? Okay, so Tampa, maybe they have some issues. We don't know. They have some issues. But Tampa, of course, and of course the Rams. But who really scares you? Where do you put the Niners? Come on, guys. Don't listen to perception. Oh, he's young. Oh, wait, temporary. You built a championship team. You got a championship type of defense. You got a championship type of receivers. You got two of the best receivers in the league. Top probably 5 pair of receivers. I'd say top 5 pair in the NFC. The best tight end in the NFC. Best tackle in the NFC. Tell me, guys, why are you guys getting off the bus? Why are you guys just saying, oh, let's just hold up? Tell me why, because I want to know.
Well, okay. Let's. First of all, you're only as weak as your weakest link. I don't know if you heard the news this morning, but Jimmy Ward's got a severe hamstring, may not be ready for week 1. This is the thinnest part of the football team. Friday night, there was a lot of positives, but Romeo Dubs in cover 0 beat Tarvarius Moore off the line of scrimmage, and Tarvarius had no ability to catch up, and he just played it in a trail position, and it was an easy 6. They're thin at safety. They got Odom behind Ward. They got Tarvarius behind Afonga. They're loaded in some areas, but they're thin at safety. How much of a concern is that to you?
Well, here's the deal. What happens if let's talk about the Chargers. Let's talk about their safety. Just they're gonna sign him. The safety there in L.A., one of the best in the game.
Derwin.
So much of Derwin James reminds me so much of the late great safety to play for the Washington Redskins at the time, and now the Washington football team. You guys know who I'm.
Sean Taylor.
Yeah.
Sean Taylor. Thank you, Sean T. This is the same type of guy. What if he goes down? What if Khalil Mack goes down? Or what if both other Bosa? Think about a lot of teams, guys. This is the National Football League. You're gonna have to be lucky, and you're gonna have to hope that the health of the teams sets up. But I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody's gonna go through this. You guys know that. Just because we're the Niners and just because we're the home team, the flag station, and we talk about but if this one goes down to that, you're right. But guess what? Derrick Henry went down last year and there goes the Titan season. But when you think about this is the National Football League. But barring injuries, and if this team is healthy, I don't think it's a stretch to say this is a top 4 team in the NFC, guys. And that's what I just don't want people like, they got a young. This is a top 4 team in the NFC. I'm telling you guys.
No doubt. Maybe better than that.
I
really.
agree.
Yeah. I think maybe better. I want to, so I'm with you guys. I'm in the same church, same pew, and I believe this team is ready to win and win now. And I think they can win with this quarterback because he's not going to have to go out and necessarily win games. But your difference is he can make a play on 3rd and 3 when all else breaks down. That it probably, and if they're playing cover 0 or if they bring the house on him, he's elusive that you hold your breath and say, this guy can make a play. Now that teams are going to say, if we come after this guy, he can hurt us with his legs. Look at Josh Allen, what he does. And I'm not comparing, Trey to Josh Allen because Josh Allen's a lot more seed. But Josh Allen will absolutely murder you with his legs, guys. Josh Allen is a hell of a runner. And Trey is a hell of a runner. Once he learns how to slide, and you saw him slide, it was great. He had a big play, got down. If he continues to develop those things, this young man's going to hurt you with his legs. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a lot of 3rd downs. You guys are going to be like, oh, my God, look what he just did to keep – and it's going to wear defenses out. It's going to make them tired. It's going to make them down on 3rd down. They're going to have to hit, and they're going to have to read, and they're going to have to stay up, and it's going to give him more time in the pocket. You're going to see a lot of success start to happen because of what he can do with his legs.
Lo, I think we're with you on it, and we're looking forward to your perspective, your analysis throughout the year. 49er pregame alongside Larry right here. And again, all of the home 49er pregame shows will be at our favorite spot, the Hilton in Santa Clara, right next to Levi Stadium. Thanks for coming on, man.
No worries. Cheers. Let's go, Larry. Give me a shout, brother.
All right. Lo, fired up, man. Fired up and be teeing you up this year.
Sounds good, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
All right. There he goes. Lo Neal. You're going to have to match that energy.
Seriously.
You're going to have to. All right. I don't know. Do you need another cup of coffee? What's your order?
Man, I'm going to have to hit a jolt or two.
Do you remember that? Do they still have that? Is Jolt? I don't see that at the gas station now.
No.
When we're on Highway 5 on the trip and the kids want 7 bags of Cheetos and you go and I don't see Jolt anymore.
If you see me outside the Hilton crushing a Mountain Dew right before the start of the show.
Did Jolt get taken down by Red Bull? Is that basically what happened?
It probably gets swallowed up by Red Bull.
Remember Jolt Cola? Oh my gosh. If you could convince your parents to let you have a Jolt Cola, it was a good day. I mean, that was better than when Mom brought home Fruit Loops.
You're just bouncing off walls.
Oh my gosh, she said yes. Let's go get a Jolt Cola right now. And yeah, man, it was like, it was coffee for kids.
Yeah,
and not just coffee. I mean, like
it was
coffee.
It was a second cup. It was an espresso for kids.
Since 06, they rebranded it as Jolt Energy, so it's no longer Jolt Cola.
But is it?
They rebranded it. They have multiple flavors now. They have Power Cola, Orange Burst, Wild Grape, and Blue Bolt.
Sign me up for the Orange Burst.
Nice.
I'm big
They also
on
have
anything
gum
orange.
now. They have gum versions of this. You want
you can
that?
just stick it in. Oh gosh, that's
action packed.
That's probably gonna make you sick, but I don't see that either. Like I'm not much of an energy drink guy unless one of you wants to sponsor us, then I have them all the time. So anyway,
right.
But
then
when
you're
I go
just absolutely religious
right,
about it.
like I love all of them. But anyway, like, when I don't see anyway, whatever. Jolt Cola. That was thank you for the information there. Joe Spadoni, ladies and gentlemen, back in the chair today.
Unbelievable.
Someone showed up for work. So that was good.
Unbelievable cola/soda knowledge.
That was huge. So, all right, 888-957-9570. I'm totally with Lowe. Now,
the Niners are the NFC. He's totally right about one thing.
Yeah.
The NFC is stacked. The Rams are super thin. You've got Tampa with a 45-year-old quarterback. The rest of the conference,
look,
who do you like?
Not many teams, and I don't even love those two. They're good. Tampa's good. Tampa's got a roster, and I'm done.
Good defense. I have old quarterback.
But I've turned in my Tom's going to get old this year card. I've been doing this for 5 years. Well, but this year, I'm
eventually
done.
You're going to be right.
Right, but
nobody
I'm done.
beats Father Time.
But no. Tom versus Time. It was literally a Facebook show, and I've decided he won. He won. I'm never going to use that phrase again. Nobody beats Father Time. It's not true.
One of these years, he's going to show up and be too old.
No, because Father Time had like an over-under. Like when we said that, it didn't mean that you could play. Like he was 76 and still playing well, but he couldn't play well at 77. Father Time's undefeated. No, Father Time took an L. Tom beat you. He's 45 and he's still one of the favorites to win MVP in the NFL.
Amazing.
It's insane. So Tampa's good. Yeah, the Rams are thin, but they're good.
Super thin.
But they're good. We know this. They won the Super Bowl. I don't really know exactly what to think about Green Bay this year. But outside of those,
they lost Devontae Adams.
Right?
They improved their defense.
And
they have some young receivers.
And Aaron Rodgers is taking us on some journey that I don't even know how to define. And may she rest. I know, the news of Anne Heche over the weekend. Remember years?
Very sad.
Yeah, but years and years ago, remember when there was that story of like Anne Heche has gone missing in Arizona and she's like hiking or something. Like there was this really weird life kind of went a certain psychedelic way. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the football equivalent of this right now. I have no idea where that's going. I know he's a great football player, but I don't know how scary that team is. But even if everything goes great for the Packers and goes great for the Rams and goes great for the Bucs, give me the next team in the NFC that you think is better than the 49ers, even with a young QB.
Right.
There's none.
It's hard to picture.
Like if
Philly's got Jalen Hurts, doesn't scare you. Dallas, they just lost Amari Cooper. What are they? I mean, there's not a lot of there. You know what I mean? I can't even picture that team that you didn't think of as a contender, but quietly is kind of sprouting up.
Well, somebody will.
Who would that even be?
I mean, I remember halfway through the year last year, we thought Arizona was a real deal. And so maybe they can recapture that. Like I could make cases for a lot of these teams.
Maybe?
Minnesota is fine.
Philly, maybe.
What if Winston is good in New Orleans? What if he doesn't turn the ball over? What if A.J. Brown and another year of experience for Jalen Hurts means that Philly is going to be a real squad?
I heard somebody say that Carolina with Baker is a surprise team in the NFC.
I mean, they don't have a terrible roster, and Baker's not awful. But
I mean, that's really grasping.
But they're not better than the 49ers.
No.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, there will be surprises. There definitely will be teams in the NFC that are better than we thought they were going to be. But I got to put the over-under at the 4 seed in the playoffs. And don't you think you'd be disappointed if they're not at least that?
Well, I would say, I don't know about seeding because you never know about injuries, but I'll just say it's playoffs or bust.
I agree with
Playoffs
that.
or bust. This whole Super Bowl or bust, no. But I think that if you said reasonable, what's a reasonable expectation? I know this sounds crazy. It sounds like lofty expectations. I would say a reasonable expectations is where they got last year, the conference championship game. If they lost to like Tom Brady and some killer Bucks D, or the Rams didn't get hurt and suddenly they were incredible. There's a couple of scenarios where you could see them. But to me, the 49ers, if everything goes even marginally according to plan, even despite the youth of Trey, they're an NFC championship game type team.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm not going to hang an NFC championship appearance on them as the expectation because it's single elimination, and I don't know what's going to happen in a playoff game, but I will go with you on playoffs. They absolutely need to and have to and should make the playoffs for this. I mean, and look at it as a regular season stint, and we're pretending like we know Trey's going to play 17 games, and we don't know that this year, but if the 49ers are one of the teams that is blessed with quarterback health, I mean, they should win 10 games. They should win 10 football games at least, I feel, especially when you look at their schedule. And I'm never someone that I have no idea who's good, right? What is Atlanta going to look like? What is this team going to look like in December? Who's healthy? Who's not? But there's one schedule quirk with the 49ers that I think is really important. And we can actually, with Sharpie, write something down about it right now. And it's this. After their bye week, which comes at pretty much the exact halfway point of the season, after their bye week, the 49ers will leave the Bay Area 3 times. That's it. 3 times. And guess where they're going?
Vegas, Denver,
Seattle, and Mexico.
Yeah.
They are not leaving
travel
the time zone.
I looked at that when the schedule came out. I couldn't believe how favorable the travel is.
For 2.5 months. They do not leave the time zone. Tell me that's not going to show up at the end of the year. It has to.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, usually the West Coast teams travel so much. It's crazy. But the Niners get the AFC West, and they have a very favorable travel schedule. So it's a lot of it's going to be about health. But, the old saying, you're only as weak as your weakest link. We're going to find out. I think that, Bonte was talking about Jesse Bates. You know what? They may have to investigate a trade for a safety. They may have to hit the waiver wire for a safety because they have 2 really good safeties, in my opinion. Hufanga and Jimmy Ward.
Hufanga?
And Hufangas are nice.
No, I know.
Thank you. But those 2 guys.
We'll get Larry used to all the drops. He's it's an incorporation sensation. Anyway, go ahead.
The step down is massive. And George Odom's a lifetime special teamer. Tarvarius Moore coming off the injury does not look like the same guy. He doesn't have any quickness at all. So they're hurting without Ward and Hufanga if they had to play without those guys. They may have one of the better safety tandems if they have those guys, but without them, they're hurting. So maybe Bates is coming. Who knows?
Okay, 530 says Mexico City's in the central time zone. So if I mess with it, okay. The 1 hour for 9 weeks, 1 hour. I think they can handle it. But thank you for the factual error. Yeah, I
know your time zones, Mark.
Yeah, my bad. I know the cheeses. I don't know the time zones. But anyway,
insider.
Anyway, Kyle Shanahan did say today, and if you're wondering what Larry's talking about, if you're just joining us, Jimmy Ward, a bad hamstring injury in practice yesterday. Week 1 is already in doubt. They're just simply saying that he is going to miss, quote, some time. And Kyle Shanahan has said we're probably going to add somebody. They're not going to just go with with that group that you just mentioned as far as what they got. So
very deep on the corner, very thin at safety, and now of course they lose their top safety.
Yeah, well, and even if he is back for week 1 or week 2, if they're that thin there, then
maybe they shouldn't have let Tart walk.
Maybe, or just maybe they do need to address it in some way, because the idea that Jimmy Ward holds the key to your whole defense, and if he's hurt, you're in trouble. That's too vulnerable. That's way too vulnerable. They need more depth there if that's the case.
Yeah. Jimmy Ward and Hufanga, if you watch the practices, they're the leaders on the team. They're literally leading everybody in the calisthenics, in the sprints. Those 2 guys are the leaders. So to lose Jimmy Ward, and NFL Network, I think, had Jimmy Ward in the top 100 for the first time. I mean, Jimmy Ward has been respected by the coaches for a long time, but he, now he's getting the national acclaim, and man, that's a tough loss.
I love seeing his leadership role really come into focus the last couple of years. So yeah, that injury really, really hurts, and hopefully it is just maybe week 1, week 2 at the most, and those are games that at the moment on paper you feel good about, even without Jimmy Ward in Chicago and Seattle. No great quarterbacks that are going to be firing it at you, but you don't want to miss him too far into September for sure. Your phone calls coming up next. So if you're on hold, stay right there. Ian Rappaport on the idea of Jimmy to the Browns. You're going to want to hear this. Plus, we need to get into Tatis. We got to get into
get a beer.
We got to sit down.
Get a beer.
Have a
Got
beer.
my Krueger.
Here, have a syringe. Anyway, we'll get into all of that here coming up next. Larry's in for Dibs. It's 95.7 again.
Trey Lance, bald.
So wait, is the central time zone is 2 hours, I guess.
2 hours, yeah. It's like Chicago.
By the time we get to the end of this show, apparently Mexico City will be in Europe. And the 49ers are going to have to do this hellacious trip to play the Cardinals, and they're never going to recover from it. So I just take back everything I said. Boy, the travel schedule in the second half of the year is brutal.
But the Niners will be
Mexico City. It's like it's right next to France.
They will be exactly. It's right near Luxembourg.
Jeez.
No, I think they will be staying though in Colorado Springs to prepare for that Mexico City jaunt.
Yeah, there's some altitude.
A little altitude.
Yeah. I'd go to Tahoe and just go halfway up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all the way up, but Tahoe is. I mean, Colorado's great. Tahoe's better.
Yeah, Mexico City, I think is 7,000 feet. Or
it's up there. It's up there. But Kyler Murray runs more than Trey, so advantage 49ers.
There you go.
Take that. Take that. Okay, glad you're with us. Thank you for being with us. When you're happy and you know it, not just clap your hands, maybe go to San Diego. There's no limit to how you can show it. Endless sunshine, coastline, and outdoor adventures inspire waves of feel-good vibes. Plan your trip today at sandiego.org. And you could even see the Fernando Tatis Museum that commemorates his entire career, which ended over the weekend. No, we'll talk about that in just a second. But anyway, 888-957-9570. Larry Krueger's in for Dibs. It's Dibs' birthday. He's turning 88. So you can tweet at Dibs.
Happy birthday, Dibs.
Happy birthday. And you can send him well, I'll leave that. You can send him anything like a printout of his AARP card. How about that? We could do that.
Do you like being sung to on your birthday? Because I really don't.
No, I think that anytime those people, and I used to be these people who work at the restaurant, who come over to your table,
they find out that somehow that it's your birthday.
It's the most uncomfortable moment in anyone's life. But I just want everybody who's ever having a birthday to know, do you know that those people who look like they're so excited to be singing to you
are hating it?
Hate life. Go to the back of a restaurant and watch what happens when one of the servers says to everybody, "You got a birthday on table 21.
F."
Oh my gosh. People are diving to the restroom to hide. I got to go to the bathroom. Sorry.
I haven't taken my break yet.
I'll catch up to you in a sec. They hate it even more than you do when they're singing to you because they're the people who have to actually sing. It's terrible. Please,
it's like
stop singing at restaurants.
It's like the scene where they're singing Happy Birthday in Office Space.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's exactly what it should sound like because that's the actual energy that's going on the inside. Okay, we'll get to the Ian Rapp sound here in just a second, but let's go to Rick in Redwood City. You're on with Willard and Krueger. Hi, Rick. What are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm working. I work from home. I'm just taking a little break to say hi to you guys. Get my 2 cents worth.
Please do.
Larry, great having you here.
Thank you,
with,
sir.
Willard, I love your work in other realms, as we say. So, hey, before I give you one little observation I had with Trey, I just wanted to give props to Sam Womack. Oh my God, was that guy on fire or what?
Seriously.
You know who else wants to give him props right now, Rick? The 49ers do, because their cuts for today have just come down.
Yes,
and in a huge vote of confidence for cornerback Sam Womack. Darquez Denard was among those cuts, which is you can draw a direct line from Denard being cut to the good play of Sam Womack.
And yeah, right. Awesome. And maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe the Niners will try a little experiment like they did with Ronnie Lott, who was an what do you call it in college? Not all pro, All-American.
All-American, yeah.
Safety, corner, safety, who they switched to corner. Maybe they'll do the reverse with Womack. Who knows?
All you got to know about Womack, by the way, is he was a walk-on and he became all conference in a pretty decent conference. And when he showed up in minicamp, he was bouncing around the field. And this is the first time this kid's ever stepped on an NFL field with NFL caliber athletes. He was bouncing around like he owned the place. Like he was like the most athletic guy. And then, of course, the game shows up, 2 picks.
And what coverage? I mean, he was just right in those guys' faces. No interference, fantastic. Okay, so on to Trey. I know you got lots going on here. Let me give my 2 cents worth on that. One of the plays that impressed me so much, and it wasn't he didn't like make any kind of a great athletic play or anything, but it showed his pocket presence and his feel for dealing with adverse situations. So on the sack, when the offensive line was getting their booty early on in that game, oh my God, that was really bad. And so a pass rusher's on him immediately. So he just does a little shoulder flip and flips by that guy so that pass rusher goes flying by him. Jimmy G would have been nailed and game over. I mean, play over right there. Then after he flips by that guy, then he steps up and squares his shoulders, is looking to pass, but then another pass rusher is immediately on him, and he just eats the ball, takes the sack, goes down, and, you know, the most nobody could have done anything else in that situation, right? But what that showed me is his awareness, and he didn't like throw it up for grabs like Mr. Garoppolo is prone to do, or get any happy feet, or get any kind of desperation. He just made a good decision, ate the ball, because sometimes you got no choice. You have to eat the ball and take the sack. So heads up play on Trey's part, and that slide that he did on that other drive, that was tremendous. I mean, I can't the guy, you know, his physical game is going to evolve, but already he's got better pocket awareness and presence and decision-making, I think, than Jimmy G showed in all of his years with the Niners.
Yeah, Rick, great stuff. By the way, that was that was at least 5 cents, don't you think? Which is great, though, because it's very, very good breakdown. Rick, thank you very much. And, I mean, he's absolutely right. Like, the number one thing I'm thinking about Trey Lance this year with regard to the 49er playoff hopes, if you will, just don't make the big mistakes. If he avoids the big mistakes, there's going to be enough of the good, and there's so much good going on around him. I mean, I think they win most football games just based on that.
Yeah. And just have the knowledge that you're not going to make a play on every snap. Some snaps, you know, chalk it up to the next one, go on to the next play, slide down, go down in the pocket. Just don't throw a pick off your back foot like we saw Jimmy do first half of the Super Bowl.
Yep. Let's go to Redwood Dave. He is coincidentally in Redwood City. Hi, Redwood Dave. What are you doing?
I'm on an errand right now for my mom, getting her some medicine. Loving the conversation.
Good for you. You're a good son. What's on your mind, man?
That's right. We need to get Richard Sherman in here. His days are long gone for playing cornerback, but he can play strong safety as long as he can stay healthy. I know that he ended the year, I think, with the Bucks, but he couldn't stay healthy. But I think he deserves a look, and we can get him at the veteran league minimum.
It's an interesting name, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if he can play safety. You know, some corners can, some can't. I'm sure Richard would tell you he could. I'm not sure if he can though. Man, it's a different skill set altogether.
I know it's a fun name for 49er fans, but at this stage of his career with his health and the idea that you'd be transitioning to a new position, that's not where the 49ers are at. That's kind of I don't know, that feels a little bit desperate. I don't think that's where the 49ers are. I don't even think that's where Richard Sherman is. He feels to me like somebody who's ready to get the broadcasting career started.
You know what's more likely to happen, I think, is that, you know, every team, like, you know, John Lynch has got his board. Every team's got, you know, for the 49ers, they're super deep at running back and linebacker and wide receiver. Well, there's 4 or 5 teams in the league that are super deep probably at safety. And so they're going to wind up cutting somebody who's really good or who was drafted or whatever, who the Niners liked. And so you're perusing your board, you're talking to your pro personnel director, and you're figuring out who's got a surplus. And you're probably making some phone calls right about now, just kind of figuring out how's your roster looking? How's your injuries looking? How's your cut down looking? Can we make a deal here? So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw something like that.
Speaking of making phone calls, so Mary Kay Cabot came out on Friday. She covers the Browns and said that if Deshaun Watson's suspension gets any longer, the Browns will have some interest in Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, there's no if here. Deshaun Watson's suspension is going to get longer. I'm mildly, if not incredibly, surprised that the league did not have something final for us on that front prior to Deshaun taking the field on Friday night. Really strange. Like, first of all, it led to that awkward apology, which was the most scripted thing we've seen since Seinfeld. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, and no shade on Seinfeld, but you understand, like, it was 3 very scripted questions, 3 very scripted answers. I get that we're like, okay, fine, Deshaun finally apologized, but there was not any sincerity in it for me. And what if he goes and gets hurt? What if he goes out there and gets hurt? I mean, it wouldn't change the suspension process, but it totally changes the calculus of what's going on. So I thought it was very weird that the league, who I know is in settlement talks with Deshaun and his people right now, I thought it was really weird that they even got to that. But are the Browns even interested? This has gone back and forth quite a bit. And on the Pat McAfee show, Ian Rappaport had this to say.
To answer your question about Jimmy G and the Browns, I've seen some reports. I just don't get the sense that the Browns are that. I just don't. I mean, they signed Jacoby Brissett for a reason. If they trade for Jimmy G, it's $20+ more million. Not that money's the biggest concern, but like, I've checked with everyone. Maybe something will surprise me. I just do not get the sense that there's that much interest there.
Okay, so you even heard McAfee slide in and go, that's money that they can afford. But secondly, why would the Browns need to pay that? This 24 point whatever million it is to Jimmy. They wouldn't. No one's going to have to pay Jimmy that contract. If Jimmy and his agent have half a brain, and they do, you would immediately, easily lop off $8 to $10 million of that deal and nod your head and say thanks. Because if they don't, and the 49ers cut him, the open market gets him, as you said, maybe, if he's lucky, maybe 12, maybe half of his deal. That's the leverage the 49ers hold. So this idea that Jimmy's going to demand someone pays him 24, I don't get that.
No, I think he knows he's not going to make the 24. It's just a matter of what is he going to make. The other report I thought was interesting this weekend, there was a Pro Football Network report that said that the full year suspension for Watson was, quote unquote, a slam dunk.
Yep.
So, I mean, so where are the Browns here? Because it doesn't make, to me, it make the one bit of credibility I would put into that report. If you're the Browns, why would you not make this move before the suspension? If you know the suspension's coming, why not? Why not make your move before the suspension? So if they feel like he's going to get a full year, but they're committed to Jacoby Brissett, then maybe they're committed to Jacoby Brissett.
Well, the way I've heard it all along is you're committed to Jacoby Brissett because you're thinking, hey, can we go 3-3 with Jacoby? I think we can go 3-3 with Jacoby.
If he gets 6.
Yeah, but can you go 10-7 with Jacoby? I'd argue no. I mean,
they got Josh Rosen there. They got Dobbs, Josh Dobbs.
Exactly.
There,
They've got Josh Rosen there.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
You're going to go 5-12. I mean, this idea that, is Jimmy going to suddenly take him to the playoffs? I don't know, but maybe. I mean, if you look at the AFC, the idea that Jacoby Brissett is going to outduel the likes of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Matt Ryan, Lamar. I mean, it's absurd. But if I bring it down to Jimmy and a really good roster and somebody who is an adult in the room, where they haven't had that at the quarterback position for now running about 5 years, Manziel, Baker, Deshaun Watson.
Right.
If you bring him into that situation, Lamar and his contract are still an unknown with the Ravens.
He wants it done by opening day.
Right, which we'll see. The Steelers are in quarterback transition mode.
Kenny Pickett looked really good in the first game, though.
And the Bengals are the classic Super Bowl hangover case, which, by the way, we are totally misremembering the Bengals season because they went to the Super Bowl. People think there was like, well, the Bengals, a 10-7 football team
who the Niners did beat,
Cincy on their home field, who barely beat the Raiders in the playoffs, overcame 8 sacks to barely beat the Titans in overtime, and only because Tannehill was sideways did they win that. And then in the second half, they got hot and overcame a Chiefs team that was blowing them off of the field. This is not to diminish their achievement by any stretch, but the idea that the Bengals are just like unbeatable, I totally disagree. That is a winnable division, or at least a division in which you can compete if you've got some stability at your most important position.
Yeah, No, I mean, there's no question that the Browns would be helped. And the whole thing is, does Jimmy need to carry? Jimmy didn't carry the Niners to the Super Bowl, and he doesn't need to carry this Browns team either. And I think if you're the Browns, you might be looking at Jimmy Garoppolo very wantingly, because for what you just referenced, they've had a collection of the most immature quarterbacks, guys who really, they played quarterback, but they weren't the quote unquote leader in the room. Now you got an ability to add a guy who's got some flaws, but one of his flaws is not that he's not a leader. He is a leader. And I think that would be refreshing for them to have somebody who's a mature leader. And maybe that's exactly what they need, actually.
Maybe the deal is being held up because the Browns want to talk to Jimmy and he won't return their texts.
Like he didn't talk to the Niners after the injury.
Oh boy. Well, or any offseason, according to Mike Silver,
right,
which I totally believe. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. And it's a weird thing the way a lot of people reacted to that, being like, well, that's his time. He can do whatever he wants. Huh? The offseason in football is more than half the year. You're telling me that at $27 million and your job is to be the leader of a franchise, you don't need to return texts because there's no game this week?
Well, didn't George Kittle say that he was a terrible return texter?
Which a lot of people are. Like there's,
maybe it's the see ya.
But it's like poke, like that's fine. I got friends who are bad texters where you're just like, yeah, sometimes they're not that quick. And then you'll get that weird response 2 weeks later and it's out. I'm like, I don't even know what are you responding to?
Right.
And you're like, oh, I texted you 2 weeks ago. Where were you on that one? But it's different to me in a work environment. If your head coach is reaching out to you and you're just flat, like, nope.
You can't be like, I didn't see it. You can't.
Repeatedly?
No.
I just didn't respond because it's my time.
Right.
Get out of here. What world do you live on?
Seriously.
What job do you have?
Yeah. Any job where you're making $20+ million a year and you're not responding to a text.
A lot less. Like if Matt texted me 5 times on vacation and I didn't respond, that's on me.
Right.
Sorry. It is. That's on me. I wouldn't do that.
And then, come on, let's be honest. People will say, hey, I'm not a good texter. No, you're not a good texter back to me.
Right.
Don't tell me you're not a good texter. You're texting somebody and it just ain't me.
You've got kids. I mean, do you know what it's like now if you're a teenager or younger and you have a phone? If you don't respond in a half hour, the person who's texting you is furious. I'm telling you, I've looked over my daughter's shoulder and seen like, OMG, respond. I texted you 20 minutes ago. Where are you? I mean, that's normalcy.
See,
now.
I got to work out with my kids. I'm like, look, when I text, I'm on the A list. You better respond. You better respond right away.
Who put you on the A list? I did. I did because I bought your phone.
Yeah. You're living rent free in this house. If I text you, damn right you text back.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, to answer your question that you've thrown out, which is, why has something not been announced with Jimmy yet? If you're Cleveland, I think Deshaun Watson would be furious if suddenly today, before his situation is finalized, the Browns went out and acquired a quarterback for $15 million and announced it.
Can you be furious when you did what he did and got the contract that he did? I don't know if furious is in my playbook at that point.
I think he would, and I think the only people who would care would be the Browns. Like, he is your quarterback for the next 5 years. You are paying him $231 million guaranteed dollars. You're not gonna. I know how we all feel about it. It's like, dude, you created this. You don't get a vote. But to them, he does. He's their guy. For better or for worse, now, you don't want to tick him off. You don't want to send that off sideways either.
But isn't the reality of the situation is, this became your move at the massage parlor, and this is what led to this whole disaster to begin with. So doesn't the team get a little leeway because of the situation that he put him and them in?
I get it. From our perspective, yes. From their perspective, I say no. Like, I mean, they have to be the only ones right now worried about Deshaun's
psyche,
ego. But they do. because you're paying $231 million guaranteed dollars to be their most important player.
Wow. It's amazing, really, if you think about it, that he got that deal.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. All right. Hunter Pence going to join us in a little over a half hour. The Rangers have fired their manager, Chris Woodward. The Rangers have fired their manager. Rangers signed a bunch of big contracts in the offseason.
That's right. Corey Seager.
So wait a minute. If you go sign stars to big money, it doesn't just
kind of an odd time to fire your manager, right? If you really wanted to impact the season, wouldn't you have done it at the break?
Well, I mean, do you really want to impact the season? They're 51-63.
Maybe not.
It does not, right? Like they're done. That season's not going anywhere. They're 23 games behind the Houston Astros.
Which is one more game than the Giants are behind the Dodgers.
However, they're a half game ahead of the Angels and all of their stars.
But they've already canned their manager.
Well, look, put it this way. I'm not out here advocating that the Giants don't go get a bunch of stars. I'm actually out here advocating that the Giants make sure, damn well better be sure, they're in the top 10 in payroll next year. And they're going to need to spend almost $100 million this offseason in order to do it. So
who are they going to get?
I have no clue.
They better go big after Trey Turner, because that's the move they absolutely have to make. Why? Because that's the move that makes the Dodgers come back to earth. You're not going to outspend LA unless you take something from their equation. I don't see you're not just going to have to get better. They're going to have to get worse.
That would be an amazing signing, but I mean, is LA going to let? Is LA going to let that happen? Does Trey want that? I don't know. Trey looks like
money
he's having
talks.
It does.
I think they get a better chance to get Trey Turner from the Dodgers than to get Aaron Judge from the Yankees.
Then that'd be great. I'd rather have Trey Turner probably between those two. But with what the Giants need to spend, they probably should get both. To be honest with you,
spend some cash.
Right. So
the fact that the Giants decided not to this year was bizarre. It was like, hey, we're talking about Trevor Story. Hey, we're talking about Seiya Suzuki. Hey, we didn't get those guys. Here comes Stewie Fairchild. Here comes Padlo. Here comes they were doing this stuff in April. It was like, wow. I mean, that's why you want to talk about the Giants fan discontent. I think it's a lot tied to that. It's like, hey, man, we're talking Trevor Story. We're talking Seiya Suzuki. We're talking big ticket items. Oh, we didn't get those guys. Oh, so we got nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
and they got
when
Jock
you're
Peterson.
as rich as they are.
They responded by getting Jock Peterson.
Yeah, which was a nice deal.
Which, yeah. I mean,
$6 million.
I know he hasn't homered in a month and a half, but I mean, he's outplayed Trevor Story.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is,
I didn't want Trevor Story necessarily.
I
think the Giants dodged a bullet necessarily. With that particular contract,
they usually do,
but.
Which has become a problem, by the way.
It's no different than your buddy telling you he's pricing high-priced items and then winds up with something that's so far beneath that you're like, dude, were you really in the market? It's like, I don't really know or believe that they were in the market for these big-time players because they didn't pivot to anything even close.
So it's all sponsored by Chilton Auto Body. More on that. There's some Tatis stuff to get to as well, because where this sends that entire organization is pretty fascinating. Hunter Pence is going to join us, in about a half hour as well. Larry is in for Dibs. It's Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Have you been in a car accident? Chilton Auto Body has 15 convenient Bay Area locations to help restore your vehicle to pre-accident condition. Chilton.
to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Well, the Giants lineup does. So you just walked into the room. And by the way, Larry is here in for Dibs. It's Dibs' 114th birthday. So he's not here today. It's all sponsored by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises. Normally, to hear the Giants takes that get my blood boiling, I have to be listening to the Odyssey app on my morning run with Penny, and Bonte and Joe do that.
It's a great dog name. I don't know where you got it.
I don't know. It was just poof. It just came to me. Actually, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I can prove that I didn't steal your dog's name because I didn't name her Penny. I actually wanted
my dog was named Penny. We were literally doing face-offs. I was talking about my dog, and then all of a sudden you had a dog,
right?
And your dog was named Penny.
But she was named by the kids, and the kids don't listen to the face-off. Okay,
Well, they really don't anymore.
Not
I bet.
listen to the crossover or the changeover or any of the things that we've done.
Were you
Okay?
copying my dog name or Amy Lawrence's dog name? Because her dog name also was
Penny.
Was Penny.
I wanted my dog to be named Redwood.
Really?
I love redwood
what was
trees.
the secondary? Ours was Scout. We were going to call the dog Scout.
You know what? I don't even know if we had a secondary. I can tell you what she was named when we got her at the shelter.
Oh, that's right.
Her name was Tulip.
Okay, well,
And
that had to be changed.
All of us looked at each other and went, so that's a no. So what are we going to do? And I think it was my son, it was Abe, the oldest, who looked at her coloring, which is kind of a like copperish brown. He goes, we should call her Penny. She's the color of a penny. And that was it. I don't know that there was ever a second place.
And see, we have different kinds of dogs. I have a golden retriever. You have your dog's more like a German Shepherd.
Well, I don't think she's German. Do you know what a Belgian Malinois is?
No.
Yeah, look it up. Anyway, it's a different kind of shepherd.
Smaller?
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. But she's not pure. I think she's mixed with, I got to do that DNA thing. Did you ever do the DNA thing?
No.
The dog DNA?
No.
It's just because,
I really want to do my own DNA.
I know. It's just because it's fun. And then when you're at a dog park, you can answer a question intelligently. Because people are like, what kind of dog is it? I'm like, I don't know. Dog. It's a dog. Like I went to the shelter and they gave me a dog.
Four-legged with a mouth?
That's going to be a dog. Eats dog food? I don't know. I don't know what she is.
That's not a cat?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know, but
Anyway.
I got in. I got through the bouncer here at the dog park, so obviously it's a dog.
Exactly, it's a dog. But anyway, back to me taking her for runs and listening to Bonte and Joe on the Odyssey app. That is always my go-to as I'm running up the Dipsy steps and just getting angry with what Bonte is saying about the Giants. I should do what you can do, which is go to thousands of other stations, all the podcasts, including our own here at 95.7 The Game, which are all free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, podcasts, everything available completely free. Hell, you can catch every Warriors game, which is coming up sooner rather than later, live on the app, along with music and news, everything that you need here in the Bay Area. But now I can just get it from you. Like you went out during the break.
Right.
I stayed right here in my seat and I responded to controversial emails. I've always got some. So
you respond to them, huh?
I do. Yeah.
You feel the need?
Just not always. I don't want to ghost anybody. I don't want to just not respond. That's just not my nature, Larry.
Right.
Anyway,
you're very accountable.
So yeah, responded to some emails, and then you came in. And what did you say about Gabe Kapler when you walked through that door?
I
You look so uncomfortable already.
I'm just not. He's just not my kind of. He's just not my cup of tea. Not my kind of guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I don't like him because I don't know. There's just something about him I don't really jive with. He just seems a little too. I don't know.
Clean? What is it?
No.
What is it? Too manicured?
Manicured. He says things for effect.
What exactly does he say for effect?
Infinite number of outcomes.
Yeah. Maybe it's from interviewing him a lot the last couple of years. I always felt like he was kind of patronizing, with the pat on the head. Like, that's a great question. Every question.
Well, maybe you were just asking great questions.
Well,
Pat yourself on the back.
That's true.
Larry, good job. You're very good.
Or like you'd ask him a question that he didn't want to answer. You'd be like, you know what? I'm really glad that you asked that question. No, you're not. No, you're not. He just seems insincere. He seems like he reminds me of a little bit of a kinder, gentler Harbaugh. Like,
oh gosh,
you respect his knowledge, you respect his capability. You would never argue that he's not competent. But do you want to hang with him? Do you want to invite him on the trip to Tahoe with the boys?
Harbaugh scares me though. Harbaugh, like I'm looking in his eyes, I'm like, you're kind of half a cup of crazy. Like, are you there? I'm like snapping. I'm like, are you just, what are you? Are you on a different planet right now?
Harbaugh is the kind of guy that if you got loose at the bar and just threw hands, he would be right there throwing hands with you, and you might not even know him that well.
But Gabe might talk everybody out of that situation before it gets there.
That's true.
Everybody just sit down and have an organic, non-alcoholic beer.
Let's listen to what Larry has to say.
Yeah,
here.
like exactly. And then he would come out with a spreadsheet and be like, this is how we will exit the building. And everybody is going to be fine. He just...
I think he's competent. I just don't know if I want to hang with him. Like, he's not...
he's not here to hang with you, Larry. He's here to manage the Giants.
I know.
But I don't know how you would look in a black denim jacket and a bike on the Embarcadero. I don't think I want you hanging with him either. Yeah. That's the only thing I can liken Harbaugh and Kapler to is I feel like they're always wearing the same thing. They both have one outfit.
Oh, Harbaugh.
Jim, right? With the I was Jim for Halloween one year, and people knew who I was.
You got Sharpie inside the sweatshirt?
I bought the black sweatshirt. I got the black hat. I had the khakis. You get the sneakers. You just headset and then put a pen right there on the everybody was like Harbaugh.
Now you can go with the dark rim shade. Actually, the one thing they share, Gabe and Harbs going with the dark rims.
Harbs, huh? You guys were tight. I think it sounds like you are hanging with him.
I do like Harbs.
Anyway, yeah. So Gabe, same thing. Gabe's either in a hoodie or he's in a Giants uniform or he's in black jeans, a black denim jacket, and a bike. That's it. Have you ever seen him wearing anything else?
No, but I don't see him around that much. So maybe he's got
very busy.
Maybe he's very versatile. Maybe he's got versatility that I'm not aware of.
I think you're suffering from Kaplerism.
I'm suffering from a lack of Giants offensivism. Actually, the Giants, I think, have proven in the last couple of weeks that they were just paper thin. Like if you take Crawford and Peterson and some of these guys, you put them back in the lineup, suddenly the lineup looks okay. But man, when those guys were out of the lineup and their replacements came in, it was minor league dudes. Like the entire bottom third of the lineup looked like almost like giveaway.
It's really odd because last year what we were saying about this team is the depth. The depth. I can't believe it. Every time somebody gets hurt, you call somebody else up and poof, they're there and they produce too. And there was never a drop-off. There was never a drop-off. This year, you're right, especially defensively. You got guys out of position, a couple guys get hurt, and the next thing you know, like they're grabbing somebody off of the Cubs scrap heap to come be their starting shortstop for a few days. Like it broke down. It broke down. They do look serviceable once they're all healthy.
At full strength, they're serviceable.
But that's not a word you want to use for the Giants. That's not a word.
Doesn't make you buy tickets.
No.
Serviceable.
No. So I just, look, you know me. I'm probably going to be the last one to give up.
You're very optimistic. You're a huge optimist.
I'm the last one to jump ship. I think that mentally that Estrada home run yesterday was huge simply to get him back to 500. I think that's a big mental hurdle. And it would have been the second time in a row that they've blown a big lead with an opportunity to get back to 500. They just did that in San Diego 4 or 5 days ago. So that was a big swing of the stick.
But you did crap on they should go get Joey Gallo, and they're DHing Tommy La Stella.
Well, I'm not in favor of DHing Tommy La Stella, but the idea that Joey Gallo was going to be the fix, if
Joey Gallo's hitting 260 with the Dodgers, and he's got power,
and he has struck out in more than half of his at bats.
But you're not replacing big time players; you're replacing just guys.
I guess my response when you and I had that debate that day, it wasn't like I'm offended by the idea of getting Joey Gallo. I was just like,
they got him for nothing.
If you're going to finish in third place without Joey Gallo, you're going to finish in third place with Joey Gallo. Like Joey Gallo, they're not catching the Padres because like, wow, then they got Gallo. And he struck out in 60% of his at-bats, and suddenly everything got better.
But the
I was like,
Giants'
they're
real
gonna have to
problem
do-
also is outfield defense. This guy won a Gold Glove.
Yeah.
Multiple Gold Gloves.
Again, it's not that it would have made
Hits
me
the ball into the cove.
I wouldn't have wanted to vomit at his acquisition. I would have still looked at the team and gone, so that didn't do a whole lot. They needed bullpen guys.
I know.
They needed relievers.
They did.
They didn't get them. They didn't get them.
Yeah, no,
and that's why the 3-game win streak over the weekend is like, that's awesome, but we've come out of that weekend and you were happy with which reliever?
I'm not happy with
Any of them?
I'm not happy with any of their relievers. I mean, I guess Brebbia to a degree. Leon's been overused. I like Doval, but I mean the rest of the guys. I mean, Harleen Garcia can't be trusted. Alvarez is hurt. I'm on the record. I think Tyler Rogers is the 7.
You've been against him for 3 years.
Well, I mean, he should be DFA'd. I mean, he throws 74 miles an hour. I mean, there's got to be a better option out there than Tyler Rogers. I would use him only in the up 7, down 7, kind of a garbage time situation. But they keep throwing him out there because they love him in high leverage situations.
I mean,
against teams that have seen him a lot.
Did really well both the last year and a half before this year. He did really well in those situations. I mean, it's not to make excuses. There's a few things that have happened in this bullpen. The Giants did not address it very much in the offseason. That was one thing, and they could fall back on, well, we're bringing our guys back. It was a good bullpen last year.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then you get to this year, as you said, some injuries happened, and then
Jake McGee backslid.
It's like, yeah, McGee, Rogers, what happened to these people? I'm not going to say that were the Giants supposed to know that this was coming, so I'm not going to rip them for that, but then you get to the deadline and you know these things. Now you know them to be true. McGee is gone. Rogers is ineffective. Garcia is ineffective. Leon looks like he's hit a wall.
Well, you know what it is? You have to trade out these high. If you use these relievers as much as they do, you got to change them out at the end of the year. You can't show. You can show, loyalty to some of your roster, but if you use a reliever 80 times in a year, that ain't the guy to show loyalty to. Go change that guy out for somebody else, because I don't think you can do that in back-to-back years. I think it's been proven this year.
Well, I mean, there is a healthy conversation to be had that the Giants cannot get to the second half of the season and go, man, bullpen looks gassed. How did that happen? Well, yeah, you won't let any of your starters face anybody for a third time.
Right.
I mean, Rodon and Webb, they have let them run a little bit. But if you're going to do this, if you're going to lead the league in bullpen appearances every year, you should expect you better have some reinforcements ready come August and September, because these dudes are going to be gassed.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't build a 6-man pen. You got to build like a 16-man pen and keep some of those guys at AAA.
So here's the other side to it. And this is my concern, but I also understand how the Giants ended up here. The Giants are too hesitant to sign a big, expensive contract. And guess what? Mathematically, they're right. Would you agree? More than 50%.
Free agency is filled with landmines that you can trigger at any moment.
More than 50% of big, expensive deals don't work. And the latest shining example is what happened over the weekend in a Friday night news dump that Fernando Tatis Jr. is suspended for 80 games, which is going to go a third into next season now as well. And there's all kinds of concerns, because the one you and I have been talking about, which I think is the biggest one, is if I'm the Padres, it's not so much, oh my gosh, you ruined your legacy and this is immature and I can't believe you did this to us. The bigger concern is you just locked him up for 13 years. Do you know for sure that he wasn't on this stuff the whole time?
Right. Calls his entire career into question.
Do you even know that he's as good as you think he is?
Right. He could be totally his entire career could be on the backs of PEDs. And what about Bob Melvin? He's feeling remorseful. What?
Great. So is Deshaun Watson after being told that you have to feel remorseful. He's not feeling remorseful. He's the guy.
And who cares what he's feeling? I mean, seriously. I don't care if he's feeling. I don't care if he's feeling frustration. I don't care if he's feeling, empathy. I don't care what he's feeling.
I will
he's not
say
playing.
This. Well, remorse. Actually, here's what I will say on that. I wish baseball players would just learn that when you get popped find the nearest microphone as quickly as you can. It doesn't matter who's interviewing you. Find a microphone and go, man, I really messed up.
I made a bad decision.
And I am so sorry.
Own the decision.
I made a bad choice. I fell into this, that, or the other. I was hurt, and I really want to recover and get back for my team, and I made a bad choice. Do you know how forgiving we are when you do that? The evidence is there. There are players who've done it, Andy Pettit, and we're like, cool, all right, let's move on to the next thing. But when you come up with your cockamamie excuse,
Watergate.
what the heck was his somewhat ringworm? When you come
ringworm.
Ringworm.
What is ringworm, by the way?
I don't even know. Is it a skin thing that I don't even, it's not tapeworm.
Doesn't sound good.
Right. It doesn't sound fun.
I got the ringworm. Oh,
A
man.
contagious itching skin disease occurring in small circular patches.
All right. Thank you. Spadona's filled with information.
Look at that.
He's got his Googler on.
Unbelievable knowledge.
Not a babe. He just keeps
like WebMD
This is
over
nothing,
there.
by the way, to the fake website of Melky Cabrera. That was all time.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're back, Spadone. Thank goodness. I mean, these other two guys, we don't, but you stay. Huh? Okay. I just, if you just don't come out with your ridiculous excuse, we let you back into the club so much faster. We'll let you into the Hall of Fame and everything. But let's go back in the history of this career. People think that Fernando Tatis was a San Diego Padres farmhand. He wasn't originally.
Right, he was a Chi-Sox.
He was with the White Sox, and he was involved in a famous James Shields deal.
That's right.
Which with
Big game, James.
Chicago White Sox, it goes down as the worst trade in the history of their organization.
Really bad.
Unless maybe the White Sox knew something.
The White Sox maybe gave him the Clostaball or whatever.
Clostaball. I mean, by the way,
I accidentally put some Clostaball in myself.
Can the whole steroid industry, can we just work on renaming all of these things? Why do they always have to be 8 syllables with a lot of consonants? Why can't it be something we can pronounce?
You know, I was just accidentally, I got some Nandrolone, and it.
What was that thing that Mark took, that McGuire took? Androstenedione?
Androstenedione.
Something.
And
anyway,
it was picked out of his locker.
I like these excuses don't work. And I don't mean what if the White Sox knew that he was dirty, but the White Sox gave up on a guy that they did not feel was tracking towards stardom. And then suddenly he got to the Padres, and he did. And now we wonder what tracked him towards stardom.
There are teams that trade big-time players with huge futures because they have insider info. It might be about the guy's personality. It might be about his habits. Might be about his substances. It could be a number of things. But teams do part ways with big-time, guys who have huge talent, but there's like an issue.
Not even just prospects. Remember when the Giants traded Sam Dyson to Minnesota?
Yeah.
It took about 3 days, and they were like, holy smokes, that guy's world blew up.
Forgot about
that. So the
that.
Giants got Jalen Davis in return. It didn't work out, but who cares? Like, just get Sam Dyson the heck out of here. And it worked.
Yeah.
Right? The Twins should never take a call from Farhan again. He'd turned Sean Anderson into Lamont Wade. He gave him Sam Dyson. Like, they should stop doing that whole thing. But anyway, point being is, like, we don't know now who Fernando Tatis actually is. And this got me upset. You think about NFL contracts and the lack of guarantees. There are some guarantees, and they're getting paid plenty of money. But in that sport, or sometimes you're only playing 3 or 4 years, and you're begging just to be on a roster, and they can cut you at any time, and you don't have any long-term guarantees. The flip side is what we see in baseball and basketball, where baseball, even when something like this happens, you get suspended for 80 games. Your whole career may now be tainted.
But your money's staying.
Absolutely untouchable.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people go cancel his contract. You can't.
Right.
13 years, $335 million. And no matter what happens with this story, he gets every last dollar.
And you're perpetrating a fraud on your team, on your league, on the American sporting public, and there is no payback. There's no price.
Nothing.
In fact, you could argue that if you could make an argument when you look at these contracts that it actually pays to cheat.
No
you
doubt.
can make a strong, compelling argument that if you cheat your way to that first contract, and then who the hell cares?
Well, let's say that Fernando got traded from the White Sox to the Padres, and let's say it started then, and he turned himself into baseball's #1 prospect, and he comes up to the Padres and he shows out in the big leagues, and he gets a $335 million contract prior to getting caught. Was it a good decision?
Absolutely.
I mean,
he's set
for life.
He secured like 7 generations of wealth
in his family.
For what, a headline that people are going to forget about at some point, and people are still going to kiss his butt and hail him as a superstar.
Totally.
He's going to have. It's not like he's OJ looking for his wife on the 17th hole. He's going to have a regular life. And he gets generational wealth for like 9 generations.
So baseball, I mean, the structure of baseball, the way they do that arbitration process, and now the new thing, make sure it's a 13-year deal and it's fully guaranteed no matter what you do, no matter what motorbike ride you go on or whatever you inject into your butt. All of it is still guaranteed. It's crazy to me. It's out of whack, way too far in the other direction from the NFL. Somewhere in the middle is where we actually should probably find sports where you have some accountability and money that you need to go like earn repeatedly rather than have this out. I mean, the Padres are actually probably not the favorite to re-sign Juan Soto, mainly because of this contract, because they're going to have Tatis and Machado and those 2 deals on the books and Musgrove all on the books no matter what. When Juan Soto needs to be re-signed, I don't know. You can tell me San Diego's going to pony up another $500 million?
I know. It's a hell of a point.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, then the other question is, why do we have this selective morality when it comes to the PEDs? I mean, Barry Bonds is like the Antichrist. Roger Clemens, he need not apply for the Hall of Fame, despite the fact he was awesome for years and he's undeniably one of the greatest pitchers of all time. 5 Carolina Panthers O-linemen in a year where they went to the Super Bowl, test positive for performance-enhancing drugs.
And people don't even know that.
People don't even know that. They have no recollection of it. They have no memory of it. Nobody cares. Sean Merriman played at Maryland at 245. He's yoked up, ripped to shreds, playing with the Chargers at 275. Nobody even cares. He's like still working in media.
In football, it's see you in a month and you get popped.
And he's still like a respected voice.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like
legacy.
You know what I mean? So like, we don't care in football, even though we love that sport. It's like, yeah, you know what? PEDs, it doesn't matter. But in baseball, it's oh my God, Barry Bonds never should belong in the Hall of Fame. He's like a once in a 100 years kind of a talent. No, he cannot get in. He's the dirtiest, this and that. It's amazing the selective morality on that stuff.
It's all sponsored by Innova International Incorporated. Hunter Pence joins us next. Larry is in for Dibs. It's Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
I have never used steroids, period.
I'm Michael Jenkins, helping you keep the books with BetQL. After taking 4-5 from the Braves in the last series, the Mets and Atlanta do battle in a 4-game series starting Monday. While both teams sport solid pitching,
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Well, I think when and I never think of these things as like the end of the show. We got like half hour, 45 minutes to hang out here, and Steiny and Ghoul come back in another triumphant return. I believe Steiny back in the building today, right? So
Look at that.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That said, once a show has an hour or 2 or 3 under the belt already, all of them should just have Hunter Pence come on right at that time, because you want to talk about somebody who will inject life back into your conversation. I give you none other than this man who injected life into the 2012 Giants in such an incredible way that it was a huge, huge piece of everything that took place that year. The 10-year anniversary over the weekend was a tremendous memory lane for all of us. I can only imagine what it was like for you, man. Thanks for coming on. How was all that?
I'm still recovering, Mark and Larry, but I'm pumped to be here. Let's go. No, it was amazing. It was amazing. And seriously, still recovering. Facts.
I love the 2012 team, Hunter. Seriously, I mean, it was just such a magical year, but there were so many great individuals. One guy who I really love talking to now is Ryan Terrio. And I love playing that cut where he scored the winning run or the lead run in Detroit, and the huge scream that he let out that you could pick up the field mics. You know, a guy like that who was a role player, but a guy who was a good veteran. That club was filled with guys like that.
Yeah, Terrio was definitely instrumental to that team, and he was a leader. And he was a utility guy, role player, came in, clutched up in the playoffs when he got his at bats. He won back-to-back World Series and then retired. We never really seen him again since then, but he was one of the greatest clubhouse vibes, energy, dugout. Just keeping it going, saying the right thing at the right time, not being too serious, but also knowing when we need to get after it. He was instrumental, and I think it's kind of wild that he scored the winning run of the World Series, and he scored the winning run of the College World Series. He's the only player, I believe, to ever do that. Kind of wild.
Hunter Pence with us here, 95.7 The Game. Hunter, I'm not trying to put you in a funky spot at all, but you kept saying still recovering. What can you tell us about the weekend with all your old buddies?
I can tell you there was a lot of open bar and late night dinners and just bringing up old stories and reminiscing the glory days. But what a message, if you look back at it and you don't have a time to really celebrate it whenever you're going through it because you're just working. And Casilla used to have this song that he would sing. We played many years together after 2012, and he'd go, "Oh, baseball, baseball, got to win every day, win the World Series every time, all day, every day, baseball, everybody loves it." And so you're just trying to win another and another and another. It's never ending. But when you get to come back and just be like, hey, we actually accomplished something. We never really got to spend obviously there's a parade, but then everyone goes home. And the thing about the message of that team is that you're way better united and playing for each other. And just literally, we don't care if we go home or we have to win 100 games. We love playing baseball. We're here to play it because we love it. And let's go, let's let it go and let's go get it. Fortunately, we were able to kind of catch that vibe. And, I think companies and any business that you're in, when you just get united and you just go out there with love, you hit your higher power, your higher state.
It was such an incredible year. And you had a football background, so you're bringing that to the table. And football is a different sport in how the players motivate themselves, how they talk amongst themselves. And I kind of felt almost like your vibe was almost like bringing a football vibe into a baseball clubhouse. When you sat down and talked to these guys and really getting them fired up and, hey, I don't want the season to end. I don't want to, the season to end. I want to play another game with you guys. Did you feel like you were bringing a football vibe into a baseball clubhouse, and how did they respond when you started showing all that energy?
Well, I mean, I wasn't on that level the entire time. I made some points, and I was kind of slow and, ramped it up until the end. And I honestly, I was kind of just praying, believe in what you say. And I'll say anything to go home. And it was really kind of a collection of the, we call it the elders, that were all if we don't say something, we're dead. Cause we were kind of all stiff. And I just brought up hey, I don't care what you did in 2010. And I was at the Phillies in 2011 when we lost. And all we talked about was 2008. And then we talked about, the Red Sox coming back. And I was like, look, I don't care what happened, and all I care is what we decide. Like, let's make our decision. Like, and I reminded them, because I played against them, I was like, we're really good. So, like, we're way better than you think, you know? Like, playing against us, we give good at bats. The pitching is nasty. So let's, like, you know, let's, like, buy in. Let's, like, make our decision. I've made my decision. I'm giving everything I have to play one more day because I don't want to go home, and I love playing with you guys. That was, like, the gist of it. It wasn't super football-y. It was a legit message. And when you think about it, you can't be your best self unless you're detached. And so it's like, I don't care, it's detached, and I love playing. So detach and just be in love with the moment. And that was kind of the thing. And like, obviously there was some fire when we got in the dugout, but that like the players that are fire ramp up to that. And the players that are water are smart enough to know to stay, you know, chill. So like the Busters, the Craws, the Asphalts, the Hobbies, these are like the, you know, there's the water energy and the fire energy. And then the Pagans, the Pablos, me, we're like the fire guys out there, Blanco. And so we're all getting ramped up, and then the water guys are laughing at us, but getting locked in, and it just kind of balanced itself out.
Memory lane was so fun this weekend. Hunter Pence with us. Hunter was kind enough to come on our Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys Giants podcast.
Nice.
Very recently. And Hunter, I did not forget what you told me, because it was right before the trade deadline. And you kept saying they need to buy, and they need a reliever, and then after that, they probably need another reliever, and they didn't get any relievers, Hunter, and the bullpen looks totally gassed. So what is your thought on what they didn't do and what it's going to mean here as they try to hang on for dear life and make a run?
Well, the one thing they did that I do agree with, and I'm sure it's easy for me to say go get a reliever, but it's harder to do. You know that, you know, I'm not a GM. I don't know what it takes. Like, if you know, if the game was easy and GMing was easy, everyone would win the World Series every year. No one's given up their players easily, and we have a lot of talent. So for me though, the Giants kept Rodon. They weren't giving up on the season. They didn't want to give up too much of their future, because I think they know that they're kind of in a window that's going to get really hot here soon, because they got some prospects. And I was talking to Vogelsong, and he was saying they have this AAA guy that's coming here pretty soon that's going to be a closer type mentality. I forget the kid's name. We got that, you know, the other lefty that's, I think, in A-ball. So we got some guys that are going to be adding on to this. They're close to make a run if you keep Rodon. I think you got to sign Rodon long term. You trade him, you lose him. And I just think that he's electric, and he gives you an opportunity to be a World Series caliber team with him and Webb. I think they're close. Obviously, I would have liked to have seen them kind of go for it this year. That's the competitor in me. You think you're going to win it every year. And, you know, I looked at what the Braves did last year. They bought when they were all in. So, but Farhan, he's smart. He knows what he's doing. And so that's kind of my thoughts. I'm glad they didn't trade Rodon, because that would have been a real gut, you know, wrenching shot. Obviously the series in San Diego really hurt them. They had a chance to win one. It's tough, but that game last night was pretty fun to watch. So I'm not going to lie.
I'm really enjoying you on the broadcast, man. As far as your broadcast ability, I was telling Mark at the commercial, you and Javi are kind of become my favorites of like kind of the new era of the Giants announcing crew. How much are you enjoying it? How much do you see it in your future?
Well, I mean, I love baseball. It's a lot of fun. You know, I talked with Larry. We're going to talk and discuss, you know, what's available. Obviously, Krueger and Kuip are the best ever to do it. They're legends. They're my favorite. John and Dave, amazing. So just getting to learn from them and watch them and sometimes be on with them has been absolutely incredible. You know, just I think Krueger and Kuip, if it wasn't for them and listening to them for so many years, they definitely inspired a lot of me, like being okay with just relax, just have fun, and, you know, share the knowledge, but goof off a little bit. That's what I love so much about them. And, you know, Javi, Jay Smooth, I think the more he gets going, he's one of the best communicators I've ever played with. So, you know, he's Jay Smooth. He's great. So I'm just trying to be myself. I'm a little quirky. I'm a little goofy. I might say something stupid, but I do know the game of baseball. I look at it upside down, right side up, and inside out. And you know, I'm still learning, so it's been pretty fun.
Hunter, pretty fun, no doubt about it. I'm sure that describes the weekend. It describes listening to you. It describes the conversation we just had. Thanks so much, man.
Hey, I really appreciate y'all having me. Have a wonderful end of the show. It's an honor always, every time. Let's go.
Indeed. Appreciate it, man. All right, go take a nap. There he goes, Hunter Pence.
He's awesome,
who had a
man.
fun weekend. Yeah, he is. Man, open bar and Hunter Pence. Yeah, I'm in. Sign me up.
Giants tried to get him in 2011, struck out. He went to Philly. They got Beltran instead, and then they got him the very next year. And does it happen? Does 2012 happen without Hunter Pence? I mean, you could say that about a number of guys, but he in particular was one of the, he produced and he also was a vocal leader. And I think he was kind of one of those guys that kind of got through to the group.
Wow, there was the speech. There was even the way it inspired the fan base. You never forget. Like, there's been a lot of trade deadlines and a lot of acquisitions, but very few where you've literally seen from the airport to the car.
Right.
And then the car, now the car's arriving and he's getting out, and here he is. And I mean, it was just the whole thing, the whole 2012 playoff run. It just went in slow motion.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. So, all right. Coming up next, still got time if you want to weigh in on what Trey Lance looked like. 888-957-9570. Plus, we've got Pick Your Battles, even though we're down 2 men today. I believe, Spadona, they sent their selections in. Larry, you got to get your commemorative selection ready, if you will. So that's coming up. And then the return of Steiny, along with Guru. Although is Guru out? Guru's out. Steiny's in, Guru's out. Oh, man. Come on.
JD's in.
JD, okay. We got Steiny and JD. That's what we got. So they're going to hop in here, too, on 95.7 The Game.
It's like a little piece of you died.
Brought to you by On Deck Small Business Loans.
When you own a small business, sometimes you need funds fast. So go to ondeck.com. America's largest.
back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Okay, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I just saw this. Let me throw this at you. An NBA executive believes that Kevin Durant is more likely to retire than play for the Nets again. And that comes from Mark Stein.
I don't buy that.
Mark Stein.
He's 34.
Mark Stein, credible.
I don't care.
Point being, no, I get what you're saying. This is all part of leverage and negotiation and all of that. Quote, there's a growing expectation that KD could cause a ruckus to get the Nets to make a trade. It did get real quiet. Remember, 6 weeks ago, KD, Kyrie, boom, 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 boom. It's going to be an unbelievable offseason.
Then he went to the nuclear option.
Quiet.
I want the head coach and the GM gone. Then the owner said, hey,
Get outta here.
Get lost.
Yeah.
You're 34. He wouldn't have said it if he was 24, but since he's 34, Joe Tsai sides with Marks and with Nash. Yeah, KD wants out clearly, and he wants anything. I think in an ideal world, he wanted to join the Warriors, but the Warriors don't need him.
Yeah,
Warriors don't need him at all.
No, it would be a bad deal for the Warriors right now for all kinds of reasons. I understood the one reason it would be good, which it could kind of give them a financial parachute, because no matter what everybody here wants to think, this idea of keeping Wiggins and Poole and re-signing the young guys, not going to happen. You're not going to be able to keep all of them. So if you had turned some of those into one player, that might have helped. It doesn't solve all the problems, but there's just too much. We enjoyed this year too much, having this homegrown feel to everything and having the possibility of these guys aging gracefully and having a young core come in and be ready to keep the team good. That's too good. You can't give that up.
No.
Even for 2 more years of Kevin Durant.
I did see a report over the weekend the Warriors were going to offer Carmelo Anthony two-year deal at the veteran minimum. I would be very excited to add Carmelo on a 2-year veteran minimum deal. And I would much rather do that and keep the core and keep all the young players and then just kick that can down the road and see where you're at in a couple of years. See where Wiggins is at. See where Poole's at. See where Kuminga's at. See where Moses Moody's at. Find out what your team is, and then you can make a better decision. I don't want to bring in KD after how enjoyable the whole vibe was around this team. And then watching Wiseman in the summer league, why would you trade him right now? And it sounds like he would have to be the central figure in any deal involving KD. I don't want to move Wiseman right now. He looked great in the summer league.
And Wiggins would be gone too, because you're going to need a salary that would help match that thing, and it would have to be with him.
I don't mind moving Wiggins, but I
kind of do.
I think Wiggins is personality-wise fits better than KD's personality.
Yeah, I do too. And right now, if you cornered me right now to answer the question that I think we're all going to be answering here in a handful of months, which is Wiggins or Poole, I'm saying Wiggins right now.
That's tough.
This year absolutely could change that story. But
the only thing with Poole that would worry me, Mark, is that you are getting rid of a guy who, by all accounts, is your hardest working player. That's always kind of dangerous. The guy who's first in the building and the last guy out, you're going to move him. Now, I realize that there's other factors, but that's a young player with that kind of talent who really has this. He's wired to be this insanely, this guy who works just insanely hard. That's hard to find a guy like that. And when you have him, man, it's even harder to get rid of.
I love him. I love him, but they're just not going to be able to pay everybody.
No, I know.
They're just not going to be able to pay everybody. And man, Wiggins was the one who looked like the workhorse when it comes to playoff time. Like, that's what he looked like on the floor.
He elevated for sure.
Yeah.
In the moment, he elevated.
Hey, real quick before we do pick your battles, how about Brendan in Newark? Hey, Brendan, you're on with Willard and Larry, who's in for Dibs. What are you doing, man?
What's up, guys? I just got home from running a bunch of errands, and I wanted to chime in on the first preseason game and managing expectations.
Yeah, go ahead. Trey Lance, what'd you think?
Trey Lance, great. Perfect passer rating. That's fantastic. I love it. I have to manage expectations by saying, yes, it's the first preseason game and everything like that. But the thing that stuck out to me the most was the fact that after the game, he was talking in the press conference and he said, the game has slowed down. I feel like the game has slowed down and I see the field better. And that's the thing. I mean, I love a 76-yard touchdown to Danny Gray. That's fantastic. But the fact that he is progressing in his development and able to see the game slowing down, that gives me way more feelings of optimism than seeing a one-play amazing touchdown.
Yeah, Brendan, thanks. I agree. I mean, like I said last week, the number one thing I wanted to see was have Trey look like he wasn't in a hurry, and nailed it. He absolutely did.
Yeah. It was funny. We're talking about Poole right before, because in a lot of ways, the same kind of thing, right? Yep. This guy's done the reps. It's like, and I've talked to some of the 49er people off the record, and it's like, hey, you know what? We know we got the right guy. Now it's about coaching him to be the right player. And it's gonna take a little time, but getting the right. There's all kinds of guys who are the right player, but they're not the right guy, and it just doesn't work out. This is the right guy. This is the guy who's going to put in the work and do the reps, and really, he loves the process of pro football. That's huge. Now it's about little things. Can you get him to be a little bit better every day? That's what that's the goal.
Yep. And he decided he was even willing to slide, which means on each given play, he's like, you know what? I need to learn how to pick my battles here. This is not necessarily the play for me to go all the way to the house. So here we go. Spadone, I know I'm kind of on the lamb here. I'm in last place, so I'm going to go first. But what is our standings update before we dive in here?
All right, let's see. I think Dibs is leading all of us currently.
That's not okay.
4-2.
Okay.
I am following right behind him. Kyle also behind me because he just lost. He is also at 4-2. And there is Mark Willard at 2-4.
Okay, so you guys are all 2 games clear of me. I'm coming to get you. And I'm going to use Alex Cobb to do it tonight because this guy, don't get down about the numbers. This guy's been one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball this year.
He's doing good right
now. He's had some bad luck. And I think he's throwing really well. And a free swinging Diamondbacks lineup is exactly what he needs to cover the 4.5 strikeouts. So give me Alex Cobb over 4.5 strikeouts in this game coming up tonight. All right, Spadone, what do we got?
All right, Kyle is taking the Houston Astros money line on the road against the White Sox, who have been struggling. And Dan Dibley is taking Liverpool, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Both teams to score. That's kicking off just in a matter of moments.
All right,
in
great.
Liverpool.
Of course, not in this country. That's Dan's rule. All right.
Indeed.
And then, all right. Did you give me all 3 or what are you doing?
I'm taking the Giants on the run line, Mark. They are killing it for me. I'm riding the Giants. I'm 4-2 picking them. So minus 1.5 plus 114.
Giants run line like 14 days in a row by this guy. I think you're like, they are barely hitting 40% for you at best. But anyway, whatever. All right, a commemorative pick, if you will, Larry. What do you got for us?
I'm going with Julio Urias against Freddie Peralta. The Peralta features a fastball, throws a ton of them. Dodgers crush the fastball. Dodgers get a new win streak going tonight. Urias at Miller Park over the Brewers.
All right, I normally would have said we don't need that, but the Giants need to catch the Brewers. So fine, the Dodgers can go ahead and win however they want. But now that leads us to a huge moment in the history of 95.7 The Game, and that is the second major return of the day. Bonte is back, and now so is the great Matt Steinmetz, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, his triumphant return. Guru was so excited about it that he decided to leave, and JD is here as well. So hello, JD, and hello, Steiny.
They got to catch more than the Brewers.
Yeah, they do. They do. But you got to start with one.
That's true.
You got to crawl before you can walk there, Steiny.
I've been gone 2 weeks, and the Giants are 500, which is exactly where they were 2 weeks ago when I took off. So
they won all those games. Just
it was a perfect vacation.
Exactly.
You missed nothing.
Missed absolutely nothing. Saw Trey Lance on Friday. What'd you guys think?
Thought it was really good. I mean, it's muted, it's short, it's preseason. His guys aren't there. The Packers guys aren't there. But everything that night could have been, I thought it was, right? He played well. He played smart. Even the stuff he did off the field. I love the story about him running to get the ball for Brock Purdy. The team looks like they're ready to rally around the guy, and that's important.
Yeah, he's a vertical threat. They had no vertical threat down the field, and it was partly due to the receivers, but it was partly due to the quarterback. Now they got a quarterback who can throw the ball down the field, and they got receivers who can separate from coverage down the field. It's going to add an element to their offense. I think it's going to make them a lot better.
And for me, it was just he looked better in that game. 11 snaps, 4 of 5, the big ball. He looked better in that game than he had looked at training camp to this point. I wanted to see it look better against different competition. Don't care who was in, who was out. It looked like a positive step for his camp as a whole.
So my question is, let's assume he can make the big play more than Jimmy Garoppolo can make the big play. I think we can all agree that's one of the things we're looking at.
Yeah.
What about the average play? What about the other 70% when you just need to kind of execute, hit the guy on the numbers in the flat, execute the offense, all that kind of stuff?
I think it's a great question because you know what we saw in that Texans game, his second start, saw a first half that was bad. We saw a second half that he made some big plays. I think we're all gonna have to get used to the idea that this 49er offense may be a little less efficient, maybe a little less consistent, but also have that big play ability. So I think that's going to help them if they fall behind because now they get a chance to come back. But I think it's a good question because we don't know how inconsistent he's going to be on those short and intermediate passes and how inconsistent the offense is going to look.
Yeah, there'll be inconsistencies, but I don't know if I'm ready to buy into the idea that it's going to be, even at the start, a little bit less efficient. If the whole idea, let's go back to, what Mike Silver had that list of things that maybe Kyle didn't love about Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was what led to the whole Jimmy ghosted the coaching staff thing. But one of the other things he said was, and we've talked about this in the past, sometimes Jimmy had a hard time, quote unquote, seeing it. Kyle is the type of a play caller that designs things to run people open. And as a quarterback, he wants you to be his extension on the field and see it. See what I just created for you with this play. And too often, Jimmy didn't see it. And so if Trey is the opposite of that, if he can see it, then I would expect that he actually, whatever inefficiencies because of youth and inaccuracy,
mechanics,
there should be some things that the 49ers hit that Jimmy didn't hit on because he didn't see it.
The question, though, is does Trey see it and still miss the throw because he's inaccurate?
Or when does he see it? See, I think
too late.
I think that's a big part of Kyle Shanahan. I think he's hard to quarterback for, Kyle Shanahan, because I think he's got so much confidence in his own play calling ability that he feels like if you run the plays the way they're supposed to be run and option 1, 2, something's got to be there. You just got to let the progression find you, if you will, and then make that decision. Like I think Kyle Shanahan thinks if he had the right quarterback, every play should work if it's executed properly.
Can Kyle show patience? That's my question, because I think Kyle at his core is probably impatient. We see it in games where, all of a sudden somebody scores a big play. He wants to go up top. He wants to make a big play. And, now he's got a big play. He's got big play ability, but will he be patient with this quarterback if this quarterback has 6 or 7 bad quarters in the first 5 or 6 games?
The other thing we see is a tendency to go conservative when things maybe aren't going right or when he doesn't fully trust the quarterback. So I think that's another part to reconcile. He wants to go deep. He's got the ability for all the big plays, but does he reach a point where I can't have Trey try and make this play? Let's run it 8, 10, 12 times in a row. I think we could see that too from time to time.
I have a lot of faith in Kyle being patient for 2 reasons. One right now with Trey Lance, he's got no choice. Like, this is your guy. I mean, quite honestly, nobody should even be considered to start a game for the 49ers for the next 2 years, provided that he's healthy. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, Kyle showed tremendous patience last year in not flipping this over to Trey Lance at times when it looked awful and looked hopeless, and ended up with a lead in the second half of the NFC title game by sticking with someone, even though there was another option there. So I think Kyle absolutely will be patient here. He knows that there's going to be some moments that frustrate him.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because I think Kyle Shanahan's patience level will be much greater than the fans' patience level, because I do think Kyle Shanahan, and he's got every right to feel this way, hey, this is Trey Lance, first year starting game after game after game. Nobody can expect this kid to be guns blazing right away. So we're not in a rush. But then there's the fan base that says, wait a minute, we've been to 2 of the last 3 NFC title games, including a Super Bowl, with this guy who we think has warts.
He's
Garoppolo.
supposed to be better.
Exactly.
He's supposed to be more dynamic.
That's the thing
right now.
That's not going to go away. Like, I do think Kyle Shanahan's got every right to say, hey, this may be the year we take a little step back to take. Nobody's going to want to hear that, though.
No, and Lowe
he's not going to say
no, but Lowe got me going on this morning, and I was trying to maybe like put this thought away, and he's like, no, pull it out of the bag. Like, yes, there are going to be moments. No, that does not mean the 49ers are just not here to try and play this year and compete. Like, there are just not enough teams that are good in the NFC to say that the 49ers, it's his first year, they missed the playoffs. Nope, no. They absolutely can compete right now, even win the division right now with that coach, with this roster around him. And the fact that I think this is important, Trey's not a rookie. He's a first-year starter. Those are 2 different things. Trey is not going to be perfect, but should we expect him to play well? Yeah. Absolutely.
And they should be able to win, right, Larry, even if maybe there are some growing pains. I mean, don't they believe they're good enough to win anyway at a 9-10 game level minimum?
I do think they can win. And also I think that they feel like they've got a quarterback who's going to make mistakes and correct those mistakes and learn from those mistakes and not make them again. Where they had Garoppolo, I think felt like he made the same kinds of mistakes over and over and over again, late in the down, floating balls, middle of the field, into a crowd, kind of questionable accuracy. But I also think the Niners added a lot to their team. I mean, Ray McLeod and Danny Gray give them vertical threats. So you got to have a quarterback, but you got to have vertical threats, and they have vertical threats. So should create a lot of space for the other receivers and should make them a whole lot more dynamic. We'll see.
Listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the Odyssey app. You're not quite tan enough for me right now.
I was in Canada.
So it's summertime. You're supposed to get
those
color.
Mosquitoes get in the way.
Manitoba? What province?
Ontario.
Ontario.
Whitney, Ontario, about 3 hours north of Toronto.
What
2.5 hours west.
What are you doing up there?
Ottawa. I got a little got a cabin up there.
Oh, wow.
Way back in the day.
Wow, you went off to the middle of nowhere and just turned off.
Humidity pretty bad?
It was okay. It wasn't bad. It's up in the north.
All right.
The other thing about Trey Lance, we have no idea what kind of quarterback he is.
You're just so uncomfortable talking about yourself.
I don't want
He was trying to be like, no, you were gone for 2. Ponte spent 3 hours talking about himself today.
Well, he was in Italy.
Yeah, every time
I was in Canada.
Every time Goo, by the way, would talk about or would reference your camping trip, he'd be like, "Well, Matt's not doing the regular kind of camping. He's got like the Honda generator, and he's got a cabin."
Did you glamp?
No, we're on an island. No electricity.
Were you roughing it?
Yeah.
Oh, you were?
For the most part, yeah.
Well, then how do you know what the Giants' record was? What if I told you they were in second place right now?
We just got the internet up there a few years back, so I was able to check some scores.
All right, fine. Back to Trey Lance, fine. I wanted to know about how you were doing, man. You were gone for a really long time.
It didn't feel that long.
There's two people on our main lineup at once who decided to, like, normally in our business, 2 weeks is not allowed. You're supposed to do one at a time.
Well, let me tell you something.
We had 2 guys that were like, no, 1 week and then another week.
Why is 2 weeks considered too long?
Because people think you got fired.
That's all right. They'll find out today.
And then rapport gets started with the people who are there. And they're like, okay, let's just do this.
Well, that's why
gotta be careful now.
I think I mandated
JD was awesome.
that I was split up, that they couldn't put either Krueger or Dickinson all time.
With actually Dibs about to have a baby. I told Matt, give me one person. Give me one person, and we're just gonna scare the daylights out of everybody.
Where is Dibley now with that? Do we know?
With his baby or with his birthday?
Today's his birthday.
Today's his birthday.
Today, yeah.
15
He's 88 years old.
Him and Kyle.
Yeah.
Same birthday.
Both of them.
That's nice.
Explains a lot.
Yeah.
And then
are they hanging out together?
When's she due?
No. In like 3 weeks.
September 9th.
September, yeah.
September 9th.
Yeah, it's a race between her and Trey Lance to see who can get to the field first. We'll see.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of quarterback Trey Lance is. Because
Yeah.
I think we think of him, and JD was the one who first put this thought into my mind, is he can run, but he's not a runner per se.
I think that's what you want, by the way.
Right. I agree. I think that's what Kyle
ideal.
Shanahan wants
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, if he can extend plays with his feet, I think that's the thing. What are you laughing at?
Because look at this. I knew he couldn't do it. I knew he couldn't do it. Like,
No.
seriously, you called us on your birthday? Hey, Dibs, like I've never said it before. What are you doing right now, man? Huh? What are you doing?
Let me guess.
I'm trying to protect my family is what I'm trying to do. You're trying to get Larry Krueger to Wally Pitt me. I will not be pipped by Krueger. I got a baby coming, Krueger. You're trying to take my job? I got mouths to feed here, kid. What are you doing? What are you doing, Willard?
I've intentionally sucked just so you could, feel comfortable.
Krueger's kids are grown.
That's
He's got
right.
the advantage.
Yeah,
That's right.
he's like, I'm at camp every day. I'm like, I know you have no responsibility.
That's right.
I'd be in camp if I didn't have responsibilities.
Yeah, Krueger, I was listening earlier. Your insights are too insightful. Your wisdom is too wise. And even a couple of humorous quips, that's what I do, Krueger. Knock it off.
Oh, damn. I'm sorry. I should have sucked worse.
Hey, happy birthday, dude. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And, man, I just got butterflies that Steiny's actually back and Steiny's not fired. I mean, that was the rumor that I had started.
Who's going to fire me? Who's got the guts to fire me? Been fired one time, and they knew it was a big mistake.
Dibs, he's wearing a Melrose Place T-shirt today. So talk about coming on talk about still being on vacation even when you're at work.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Courtney
I know,
Thorne-Smith.
and Steiny knows that when
Marin.
Steiny gets fired,
That's right,
usually
Marin
I
County.
get fired 6 weeks later. So.
That's true. That is true.
So what are you doing today, man, to celebrate?
Going to storage to get the mirror so the handyman can hang it. And,
Nice.
well, we got walls to patch and, nothing but a honeydew list as long as the eye can see. Don't mean to hijack the changeover. Just want to make sure that Krueger knows I'll be listening. You better keep sucking when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I think you need to go to Farrell's, man. Go to Farrell's. Remember Farrell's for the birthday parties?
What is that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Farrell's.
They used to have it was like in
Farrell's.
South City or Sermonte
There
or
are a
something.
bunch of places. Yeah, you didn't have a birthday as a kid in the Bay Area if you didn't end it at Farrell's.
Oh, it was
It's
incredible.
like it didn't count.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like like an ice cream version of Chuck E. Cheese.
I was going to
There
say
you go.
Chuck E. Cheese. That place is
All right,
a
so
living hell.
So Dibs, like after all of the honeydew list stuff today, do you get dessert? Like what happens?
Actually, I had cake for breakfast. The fulfill and the famil, the future mother-in-law, the future father-in-law. I had a cake this morning, which is nice. And then dinner with my boys, Quest and Keon, tonight with my soon-to-be baby delivering supper.
I love it. I love it. And then you're back tomorrow, right?
Yeah, back tomorrow. I mean, I should have come back about 11. Larry was so insightful today. I was getting nervous.
Stop.
Dibs, don't forget if you're going to put anything up, shelves, you're going to need those drywall anchors. Don't just try to screw it in. You're going to need those drywall anchors to make it more